Hello, hello, hello. We are live. We're live and ready to launch the book, Landed for Success, Volume 2, Untold Stories from Burnout to Victory. Gordon, so how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Mr. Jason Hunt. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm stoked, and I'm super pumped for the next 2+ hours where we're going to talk about everything about Landed for Success from Burnout to Victory, including we're going to be interviewing about 8 or 9 authors today as well over the span of the next 2 hours. And it's going to be fun. We're going to have a blast, and it's going to be awesome. I'm excited. Gordon, you've got to be excited.
I am so pumped. I'm excited. I couldn't sleep last night, Jason. You know, when you're excited and you can't sleep, if you have one of those times?
Oh, yeah. It's like Christmas morning, right? It's like the night before
Yes.
Christmas, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, it was before, when I was growing up, before Christmas, the night before Christmas, my parents always put stockings on our door handles. And it was very smart because we would want to go down at like 5 o'clock in the morning when we wake up and tamper with gifts and stuff like that. So we always had the stocking on our doorknob. So we would stay in our rooms until 7, 8 o'clock. And this has been a big debate in my household on where to put the stockings. Now, we're not here to talk about Christmas, but I'm kind of curious, Gordon, where did you put the stockings growing up?
Wow. Jason, that's a great question because
It's a curveball. You weren't expecting it, were you?
No, because I'm thinking where we live, right? Like here, obviously Toronto. I grew up here in Toronto, but Landed for Success Untold Stories is about stories, and I grew up in Hong Kong. So I was born in Hong Kong, in a little place called Diamond Hill. And if you've never heard of Diamond Hill, go to Google and look up Diamond Hill. Okay, Hong Kong, Kowloon. And that's where folks who immigrated, let's say from China, if they didn't have a place to go, that's where they went. They were squatter homes. And that's where my parents moved to. And so my mom raised 5 of us by herself because my dad was working out of the country, going to school, working and sending money back home. But these homes, Jason, there was no running water. And you hear people say, pardon the language for a minute, right? Well, when someone says you don't have a pot to piss in, well, we had a pot.
Earmuffs.
Sorry, that little bucket was our toilet. Does that make sense? We had no running water. So my mom raised 5 of us, tiny little place. For me as a kid, as a probably 4-year-old, 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 7-year-old, to this day, I don't know, like my surroundings seemed like it was huge, but it was probably like 100 square feet, 200 square feet, if that much, right? 5 of us lived there, mud floors, no running water, and stockings. So you were getting to stockings. I think my mom gave us like it was probably from a pair of dirty socks. And we were lucky if we had like maybe an orange or a tangerine and some wafer cookies.
Everyone had the tangerine, the orange, the clementine.
Yeah, the clementines.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
And obviously today now, the stockings are hung on the chimney here.
Awesome. Well, I didn't mean to go down that rabbit hole of Christmas because it's February 16th, but that's all right, though. That's what we're doing today. We're talking about stories. We're telling stories and stories pertaining from burnout to victory. And there's some pretty inspiring ones in this book. If you haven't went over to Amazon yet, go on over there. The Kindle, I believe, is $2.99. Go on there, make a purchase. Give us a 5-star review. Love to hear what you think. But without further ado, Gordon, why don't we kick it to our first interview today? What do you think?
Absolutely. And I see Pamela Geiger is actually in the backstage as well, is she?
Pamela's hanging out back there. We got Terence Washington in the back.
Okay,
We've got,
good.
I know Pamela is going to be on at 11:30. We have her scheduled here. We got a jam-packed day here. So let's kick it to our first one, which is Tony Ning.
Awesome.
Tony, bring him to the stage. Everybody, round of applause, Tony Ning.
Hi.
All right.
Hi, Gordon. Awesome. Hi, Jason. How are you guys doing today?
Doing pretty good. Good to see you, Tony. And thanks for joining us today. Super excited to have you on. And your specific title is Gold Mountain.
Right.
So tell us a little bit, Tony. First of all, for those
Tony,
that don't
I
know,
had Diamond Hill. You had Gold Mountain. You were like a step ahead of me.
Yes.
Tell us a bit about who you are and what you do, Tony.
Well, kind of like Gordon, I was also born in Hong Kong, and I identify with what Gordon's saying. Like we lived in a maybe 100 square feet at maximum. There's like four of us, five of us living there, and we had bunk beds. That was our bed for all of us.
Yeah.
But anyways, we all my life when I was a kid, my mom used to dream of this place called Gold Mountain, Golden Mountain. They call it, in Chinese they call it Gamsan, like Gold Mountain, right? And I was always curious as to where this Gold Mountain was, and it happens to be North America, right? So Gold Mountain was the goal to reach to get to a democratic land where you could make something of yourself, right? And so that was something that she wanted for her kids. And so, anyways, we came to Canada when I was 7 years old, and this was Gold Mountain, and I was looking for gold all over the streets. I didn't find it. I didn't find it, but it was a great place. I'm blessed to be here. Long story short, the next dream my mother had was to own a home because we never had a home. So we were always renting and, suffering from the landlord and tenant, rules and regulations back in those days. The rules was if the landlord said, leave, you pack your bags and go. And that was something that she didn't feel very comfortable with or felt very stable with her children. So she dreamt of owning a home. And all my life, since I was 10 years old, she says, all I want is a home. All I was is to own a home. And that really resonated with me because I thought to myself, now how can I help her own a home? I'm 10 years old, obviously. I'm too young to be able to contribute to her dreams. So serendipitously, at 14, I ran into a book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And that really changed my life. And
I've heard of that one. I've heard of it somewhere. I've heard of it before. Yeah.
It's amazing. And over the years, after many years, I kind of break it down to what worked for me because, for to read the whole book over and over again, like Bob Proctor did, which is fantastic. But for myself, I need something a little simpler, right? So I broke it down to what I call the WHAM theory. WHAM, WHAM, the W standing why. Why do you want to do this, and what do you want to do? Basically, your burning desire, right? And then the how. The how is the planning. How are you going to achieve it? Are you going to be a real estate agent? You're going to buy real estate as an investor? How are you going to achieve your goals? And then your A is the action. What kind of action do you have to take? And you have to break it down to tiny little pieces as to, like today, we scheduled this meeting, right? So this was an action that I have scheduled into my plan as to what I'm going to do today. And you have to do that every single day and map out as many hours or even half an hour as you can. So these are the tiny little actions that you have to take. And the M is mentor. Of course, you have to have a mentor. I mean, if you have to look at life kind of like if you want to be a surgeon, right? If you want to be a surgeon, I don't think you could just go to school and become a surgeon yet. I think you graduate from school and then you need a mentor, right? So you need to be an apprentice of some sort. You have to model a success model the success of a successful surgeon, right? So in order for you to become the surgeon that you want to be yourself. So having a mentor is very important. A lot of people go through life without choosing a mentor as to where they want to go, and they get lost because they don't have that GPS of life, right? So that's my WHAM, and through that WHAM, I was able to help my mother buy a home when I was 18 years old. So the why was to help my mother. The how was to get a part-time job while I'm going to school, work in the summertime and work on the weekends and fill up and make as much income as I can to help her. And the action was to basically show up at my job every single day of the week when I'm not at school. And then the mentor was basically just looking up to someone that owned a home. I knew a few relatives that own a home. A lot of them were like scrimping. They were scrimping. They were like eating peanut butter sandwiches to own a home. So I'm not ashamed of it. But I've been to school where I had 2 pieces of bread and some butter in between. That was my lunch. Anyways, that was me. And now that I've been doing real estate and successful as a real estate investor, real estate broker for 35 years now, I want to give back. I want to help younger people. I want to be that mentor for some younger people to overcome their challenges in life. And I can tell you right now, the challenges that Gordon and I had when we were kids, is a much bigger challenge than I see a lot of kids today have, right? A lot of, these kids, they have their cell phones, they have their, Nintendo Switches, they have their PlayStations, they were a lot better off than we were when we were like 6, 7, 8 years old,
Yeah, it really is. It really is relative, because the problems that take over their lives now are problems that we didn't really have to deal with. And like, I remember, being a kid having to argue about, why the sky is blue. You know what I mean? Like, you had to argue about those things and come to a fundamental agreement as to why the sky is blue, or why this paint color is blue on my wall, and why it needs to be that, because it makes me feel a certain way. Now we have Google at our disposal to have the answers to everything.
Right.
And everything is just leaning towards convenience.
I think for the younger people to start off asking why or what you want to do is a big question, because we have choices. You could be a lawyer, you could be a doctor, you could be just for anything you want to be in this country. This country, we're so blessed with the opportunities, and it's like a kid in a candy store. They can't decide which candy to choose, right? So what I like to do with younger people is, like, let's not start off with a why or what you want to do. Let's start off with what you don't want to do, right? What don't you want to do? Right? I don't want to be. I'm not putting any jobs down. Please don't take it that way, or like, I don't want to work at McDonald's, or I don't want to be a truck driver, or whatever it is that you don't want to do, right? Put that down, and then from that list, you could now you can start creating a list of what you do want to do, right? And that's really what my story is about: coming to Gold Mountain and finding the gold in the mountain.
I love how your story has the foundational roots of the story derive from Think and Grow Rich.
Yes.
And you talk about mentorship, and which is a big pillar in Think and Grow Rich as well, right? Having the right mentor to guide you along the way. And I love how you've positioned yourself from being the mentoree to now the mentor.
Absolutely. Well, it's like you're in a boat or in a ship in the middle of the ocean. Where's your guide, right? Maybe your mentor is the North Star that everybody goes towards. You know what I'm saying? What's your mentor? Maybe it's a GPS. But, in real life, whatever you want to do, right? If you want to be successful in social media, right, you may want to hook up with Jason. Jason is a great mentor, great guru for social media marketing. And that there's an example for you right there, right?
Awesome. Tony, appreciate the plug, of course. And Tony, if our audience here today wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
They can just Google my name. My name is Tony Ning, Ning, and and I really encourage everyone that's watching this right now to join with Landed for Success, because networking is important, and also with the networking and with the amount of successful people that are associated with Landed for Success, you will easily find your mentor. And I encourage everyone to do that.
Awesome stuff. Tony, thank you so much for joining us this morning, and look forward to reading your chapter in the book.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you very much.
Hey, Tony, Jason, you guys there. Tony, peanut butter. You know what's really funny?
What?
I have vague memories of in Hong Kong when I was a kid, and my favorite meal was peanut butter and rice.
Okay.
And I remember when we immigrated here to Canada, right? I mean, it was like day and night. Well, I remember one time saying to my mom, because she would always cook for me. I was the youngest. I was spoiled. She would make me the best meals, right? Macaroni and cheese, like her own version, like from scratch. I would have steak for lunch, right? Watch the Flintstones for half an hour and Maverick for half an hour, and then I'd go back to school. Right? So one day I'm like, Mom, like, how come you don't give us peanut butter and rice anymore? Because see, for me, it was like one of my favorite meals, right? I think by now I'm like 10 or 11.
Okay.
And I could see like she was trying to hold back the tears. When our parents or moms are so strong, they're holding it back. I just knew like something was wrong. So I said, like, Mom, what's wrong? And that was when I found out that the reason why we had peanut butter and rice was because she couldn't afford anything else.
Oh, yes.
Does that make sense? Like, that's what she added to the plain rice was peanut butter. So here I am, like that's what I want. That's what I want. And for her, it brought back, memories of when I guess when she didn't have anything and she was still struggling to try to take care of the family. Like your mom, right?
Exactly.
What an amazing story.
Yeah.
Awesome. We got to kick it to, we got Rick coming up next. Tony, again, thank you very much. And
Thank
we'll be
you, guys.
seeing you very soon.
Have a great day, guys.
Thank you, Tony.
All right, let's bring on Rick. Moving along here. There he is. Sensei
Hello.
Rick.
Sensei Rick.
Good morning.
Good morning. How's your day going so far?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. You got the good shirt on today?
Yes.
Nice. We all got the good shirts on today. I did go to my closet this morning. I went to the good shirt. I'm throwing the good shirt. All right. Don't get to do that too often these days, and days where we're wearing hoodies and joggers, right?
Yeah, and karate outfits. Yeah.
It's like,
awesome.
Aya. That's the only thing I know.
Perfect. 100%.
Well, our audience might be wondering what does Haya mean, and maybe we should give them some information on who Sensei Rick is. Rick, who is Sensei Rick?
I'm a sensei. That means a karate teacher. I've been training since I was 10 years old. So that's almost 30 years now. And that's what I do full time.
Amazing. Awesome. So your chapter in the book is titled Victim to Influencer.
Mm-hmm.
And, I read some of these titles and I'm just very intrigued to obviously hear the story. We're not going to tell everybody the entire story, but we want them to go over and purchase the Kindle version to learn the story. Yes. But maybe you can give us a bit of Cole's notes on your journey from burnout to victory.
Sure. I don't even know where to start really, but I guess it all starts from childhood, I guess, as it does for most of us. Grew up in a single parent household with a amazing mother. I think she's watching now. So hey, Ma.
Hey, Mom.
Yeah. Hi, Mom. Yeah. And so her goal was to have all of her kids have a good education. So she sent us to a private school, and we were a little bit lower income than the others. And so I got picked on. My brother, my sister, and I got picked on. And I came to a point where I would pretend to be sick a lot of the days, so I wouldn't have to go to school and get picked on. And then it came to a point where Mom said, "Okay, it's time to start karate, build up your confidence, and get some skills." So I did, and the bullying still continued, but it wasn't as, I guess, emotionally impactful because my mindset had changed a little bit. And then growing up, I kept training, competing, and teaching, and just became kind of who I am, just the teacher and mentor and instructor. So that's where I'm at today. And then I opened a karate school, and that ended up going quite far south because of the pandemic and put me into a massive debt. And I was on the verge of personal bankruptcy, and I was able to turn that around in a big way by teaching online instead on a totally different platform, never experienced it before. But somehow I was able to become one of the top teachers out of 7,000 teachers on the site and cleared out $100,000 of debt in a year.
Wow.
So, very impressive. It's so I think what's remarkable.
Wait a minute. In 1 year.
1 year. Yeah.
How do I drink that Kool-Aid?
Well, I think this is it. This is it, Gordon. What's remarkable about that is the fact that, I know during the pandemic, a lot of people became complacent and weren't looking to pivot. And I think what Rick did was he made that massive pivot. Yeah. And it sounds like, Rick, your backup was against the wall and there was no choice but to go up.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow. I had nothing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So in terms of being an influencer now, in what realm are you influencing people? How are you sharing that and shedding that influence?
Good question. So I've got a couple of arenas. One would just be with my students. I'm teaching only kids right now, 6 to 13-year-olds. And I take that job very seriously and sometimes a little bit too seriously, I suppose. I know the benefits, the mental, physical, all the benefits of training in karate, and it's taken me so far. So when I see kids slacking in class, I tell them, there's a reason why you're here. You got to do what I'm trying to get you to do. So I've gotten over 1,100 reviews on that site so far. So they're going pretty well. Yeah. So that's one realm. And I've also gotten into the trading and investing and crypto kind of arena. So I've been learning a lot, and I'm trying to show others what I'm learning and how they can benefit from transitioning to making income sources from home, not just a standard 9-to-5 as well.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Have you went ahead and purchased some NFTs? Are you getting into the NFT game a bit?
I did. I got 5 of them right now.
Yeah.
Oh.
Nice. That's
so
awesome.
if someone gets you to autograph a copy of your book, could that be an NFT?
Oh, geez.
Yeah. Autograph copy of Sensei Rick, like the first copy of Sensei Rick's Landed for Success.
If they took a picture of it and made like a JPEG of it to put up onto the blockchain to mint, I guess so.
What you would need to do, Gordon, is we would need to create a unique digital piece of art with Rick's face on it with the Landed for Success branding and colors. It could be done in 2D, 2D or 3D, whatever you want. And then you put it on there so anybody that purchases the book gets the NFT along with it. And over time,
how do we make that happen?
Well,
Sure.
Do we have anybody here who knows how to make this happen?
Well, there's a few. This is another conversation, and we could be here for 2 hours talking about NFTs, probably.
So here I am distracting you guys instead of talking about Sensei Rick and his book. I've known Rick for many years, you guys. He is a man of integrity. And you guys need to get a copy and read the story. I am so proud of you for, like Jason said, pivoting. Instead of staying down, you got right back up.
I did. Had no choice.
Hey?
Yeah.
You know, we need like a soundtrack. We need a soundtrack for Landed for Success. You know, like some songs that kind of resonate with every chapter in the book. Because I feel like Rick's is like,
well, Jason, you're a musician.
Can't get down.
You are a musician, Jason. You can do that.
Awesome. Cool. Well, Rick, this has been great. If our audience has any questions for you, what's the best way for them to get in touch?
Instagram is good. I'm on there all the time. So it's at Sensei, SENSEI _ Riku, RIKKU. So in Japanese, the syllables tend to be, the consonant sounds have a little vowel at the end, like Riku. So
amazing.
Sagoi ne.
Yes.
That's very cool. Yes, very cool.
So grab a copy, read Rick's story. Mom, buy 10 copies. Give them all to your friends.
Yes.
Awesome. Thanks again, Rick. We'll be seeing you soon.
Thank you, guys.
Okay.
Oh, that's incredible. Who would bully Sensei Rick now, right?
Oh, nobody's touching Rick. Nobody's touching Rick now, for sure. We have just I want to get people caught up to speed as to, who we have coming on today. Like I said, we got a handful of authors that will be joining us all the way until we got John Shin that's closing the show at 1:00 today. Right. So super excited for that. But we also have Pamela, Tom, Nathan, Robert, Lester, Sutha, all joining us today. And we also have Terence sitting there. He's sitting there very eager backstage. And we do have Pamela coming up at 11:30. But should we bring on Terence now for a quick chat?
Let's do that. Mr. T.
Mr. T.
Pamela.
In the house.
How it doing?
In the building. There he is, Mr. Terence Washington. How you doing, Terence?
Excellent. It's funny because this morning I was so excited. I don't know why I was so excited. I even put a text there and I said, guys, it's like me asking my first girlfriend, would you marry me?
Wow.
It was like I had goosebumps. I had, my gut was tied up, and because it's my first chapter as an author, it just tickled me pink, and I've done so many things. But this one really has got to me,
Yeah.
Those goosebumps, right? Those butterflies.
Yeah.
Wow.
So for those out there wondering who Terence Washington is, he has actually he wrote chapter 15 in the book titled Life by Purpose. Terence, maybe you can give our audience some Cole's notes on who Terence Washington is.
Thank you. Well, actually, Terence Washington, in the times when he was born, was probably one of about 170,000 people in the world. And I was born in a country called Karachi, Pakistan. I am an Anglo-Saxon, Anglo-Indian, Eurasian, born of different heritages, but then you are born into a country, an Islamic country. And it's very interesting how you grew up in that environment, and you have to balance both religions and both cultures. So that's the main aspect of my movement of who Terence is. And Terence is a motivational speaker, mentor, coach, now author, singer, performer, and a businessman as well.
All of the above.
All of the above.
Awesome. So maybe you can give our audience a bit of a Cole's Notes version of what your chapter's about, Life by Purpose.
Absolutely. So, when people talk about burnout, they talk about the factor that, burnout is when you get tired, when you get exhausted. But for me, burnout was much, much more. It was the mental aspect. It was the physical aspect. It was the aspect of adaptation. So how does a Roman Catholic boy adapt to a country that is an Islamic Muslim country, create the friendship and create the understanding that we can be heard? And because I was one of very, very few, it was extremely hard. It was extremely difficult. It was extremely tantalizing, I would say sometimes. But the best part was that you had to learn to adapt. So when you say burnout, it's adaptation. It's how you adapt to your understanding of your burn to be creative. So I had to be very, very creative. And as you read the chapter, you'll see that from a very young age, I became a businessman. From a very young age, I became independent. I was the only son. I had a sister, but the only son. So that created that sort of I was actually a lonely child because I always wanted a brother. I always yearned for a brother. I never had one. But I had to create my own little environment of love, passion, ego, whatever you want to call it, right? And that's what sort of sustained me from the outer circle of the burn. So from the outer circles of stones were thrown at me, I really never kept, and I don't mean that physically, but I really never had a glass window. I always had a metal shield. And that's what took me into learning how to box. I boxed professionally for 10 years. And
Really?
Absolutely. And, I won quite a few championships. My mother never knew about it. And one day when I came home with the trophy, and she said, "My son, but you play cricket. Why is this guy holding gloves in his hand?" So it was interesting, but it was quite an interesting life. And I hope the chapter doesn't rekindle my memories, because those memories sometimes are harsh, but it helps to trash out what's in the back of your heads or the reader's head. The reader to understand, I can narrate to that. That's what it's all about, right?
You learn something new every day. And Terence, I mean, you talk about, love, passion, and I've seen you speak on stage. I've seen you speak in front of large groups of people. Obviously, to a lot of people, you're the face of those virtual speed networking events for Landed for Success. And you carry that around with you everywhere you go. And I thought I knew everything there was to know about Terence Washington, but I just realized you're a boxer as well as a singer. And you know what I mean? I knew you were a singer, but now you're a boxer as well, learning something new every day. Awesome. Well, Terence, thanks again for joining us today. And if our audience has any questions for you, how can they get in touch with Terence?
Well, there's two ways of getting in touch with me. One is at universaldestiny, one word, at gmail.com. And of course, at 416-898-9131. I also just wanted to mention lastly that I'm working with great help actually from Gordon also and Jay, and I'm doing my own corporation, which is WTS, World Trade Systems. Nice. And that was created specifically just for the pandemic. We see people are all in need, and I've created something, and hopefully once it comes out, all of you will be invited, and we'll have a lot of fun together. I know you're running out of time there, but I thank you for the time and slot put in.
Absolutely.
Jason, thank you.
Thank you, Terence. Thank you, Terence. And go read Terence's chapter in the book, chapter 15. Check it out. Thanks, Terence.
Thank you so very much, and God bless you all.
All right, coming up next, here we got Pamela. How you doing, Pamela? You're on mute. Hit that mute button and you're good to go. Awesome. There you go. Oh, still muted. Hang on. There she is.
Can you hear me now?
Hear you now, loud and clear.
Perfect.
Awesome. Pamela, thank you for joining us today. How you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Welcome, Pamela. Before we get started, Pamela, I just want to let people know that, Pamela, my friend Vuk Delanovich, who's the podcast host of No Risk, No Glory, will be reaching out to you to interview you and your story on his podcast as well. And so for anybody who's watching, if you guys have a podcast, okay, today, reach out to Pamela. She would be an amazing guest. And anyone, as a matter of fact, any one of our authors, they're ready for you. Okay, so reach out. You have a podcast, have them on your show, have them share their story. They will absolutely blow away your audience.
Well, that's the thing. Everyone's got a story to tell, especially the authors of this book. We all have stories, and now we have various ways of sharing those stories. And let's talk a little bit about your story, Pamela. Create a life you love. I mean, to understand that, I guess that begs the question, what do you do?
I am a serial entrepreneur myself, always on the run for a new venture. I currently am a business consultant, an inspirational speaker, motivational speaker of sorts. a direct sales leader. I'm always doing something new. Right now, I am helping my partner grow his business, and he owns a towing business, providing HD services, mechanical services, and such, as well as towing. So we are busy, and yeah, I'm looking at different ways of growing my personal goal in life of helping people. And I on the regular find myself in situations where I'm helping mentor people in ways of growing their lifestyle to something that they desire, they deserve, I was going to say, but yes, they deserve it just as much as they desire it, they dream it, whether that be lifestyle changes, starting a business, growing their existing business, or seeking out other avenues of income to help make those dreams come true. My big thing right now is creating a business called Create a Life You Love, where I use this business to mentor people in creating a life that they love by dreaming, doing, inspiring, and at the end, sparkling. And I think the biggest thing is allowing yourself to sparkle and see and allow others to see that dreams can come true. You can do things in unconventional ways, not necessarily the way that the world tells you you should go about achieving success. There are just so many different ways to achieve success, and to share that with others, which in turn inspires them as well.
That's amazing. That's awesome. One of the things that I noticed here is that you have a book behind you there. What is that book behind you there?
It's our first Landed for Success book. What?
That's awesome. So there it is. There it is. Gordon's got his. Mine's at the home office. I don't have it here. I feel left out. But speaking of books, I mean, is this your first publication that you've been book you've been a part of?
Landed for Success. Untold Stories was my first. This is now my second. I was recently talking to Gordon about doing my very own book, which is something that I have been dreaming of doing for quite some time. And Landed for Success has allowed me to open that door and to start to walk through it and build confidence in myself that I'm able to do that while having all the tools to do so at my fingertips. So thank you for that, Gordon. But yes, this is my first time being involved in collaborative work where it does get published, and we have the ability to inspire others and help change lives worldwide now.
Wow.
It's such a good point. Such a good point, Pamela, that you bring up there. It's like, you can go out there and write your own book. It'd probably take you quite a while to write it, but having the mentorship and leaning on people that are experts in creating that book, getting it out there to the masses, and getting that awareness is something that you be a jack of all trades, master of none, to try to master everything that comes with launching your book. And I think you're leveraging the skills that Gordon has, as well as Landed for Success, to kind of catapult you out there initially with Landed for Success, which creates an amazing platform and an audience to go and promote your own book in the future, right? So that's awesome.
Yeah, it is been life-changing to be involved in the process now for the second time. I, like Gordon, couldn't sleep last night. I tossed and turned in excitement. Last night, I purchased the book and I sat and read the whole thing. I was so inspired reading everyone's stories, and I was able to relate to so many of the other authors.
Was there one story or something that stood out for you? I know all of them are so amazing.
I know, right? And I can't for sure say that one in particular stood out. I was rolling as I kept going. I could relate to each one in my own way. Yes. So I sat with my drink last night on my own in the couch once the kids were in bed, and I wholeheartedly just lived vicariously through everyone's success stories. I don't know how to explain it other than it made me feel all warm and fuzzy inside, but it also inspired me to think further about my final thoughts last night were further business plans for the next things that I have kind of under my sleeve, which
Amazing.
are, you know, they're going to be more conventional items. I really enjoy crafting. So, you know, something like burning candles. I've been doing a lot of that lately. So then I instantly am like, how can I make money while making the candles I want? You know, it's silly things, but being inspired after reading something full of inspiring stories from everyone of all walks of life.
That's amazing. What I love about Pamela, you guys, is, you know, create a life you love. And Pamela, I've only known, you know, a short period of time through her books. It's almost like we've known each other forever. She's inspired me with so many different things. I cook with a device that she has, and I make my favorite, like Hunan chicken rice, right? My sauce for that. And then she inspired me. This doesn't make sense for some of you guys. This is a 3D printed prototype. She's actually inspired me to grow vegetables at home. And this little thing here, Pamela, this was inspired by you. So last week, I made a faux noodle soup of my own. I don't know if it's any good or not, but I added bean sprouts. Literally grew bean sprouts from this in a week for my house. But so that's what I love about our community. You'll meet amazing individuals like Pamela, and it's just, there's so much love, like Katie Romano says, and collaboration. Would you agree with that, Pamela?
I do, yes, wholeheartedly. And I find that when you do pop on and you interact and you're able to network with different people and meet different people, you find yourself inspired in different ways, regardless of what your interaction is. Whether it's inspired to do something on your own, or you're inspired to help someone else do something that they're trying to do. Whatever the interaction is, it's fulfilling. It makes you feel good, and you meet a ton of great people while you're at it.
Yeah,
I've really enjoyed talking with you about your prototype, you know, and knowing that I was what inspired that is that's all I ask. Oh, sorry. Beep, beep. We got beeps going off in the background. And little do I know it's not going to stop until I touch a button. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Okay.
Good thing it's not a fire alarm.
I know, right?
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm growing strawberries here, green onions, microgreens. So I'm pretty excited. It's inspired by you.
Well, I appreciate that. And that's all that stemmed from like I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease in the summertime, and I had to change my way of eating drastically, and I no longer can eat raw fruits and vegetables. So I needed to figure out a way to get fruits and veggies that the kids would eat into the house.
Yes.
Because I no longer concentrate. I can't help it, but I can't eat any of it. So I tend to walk past it in the grocery store now. I can't eat it, and I love it. So I just walk past it. Now the kids can grow what they want to eat, or my partner grows what he wants to eat, and then they can pick it and eat it as they choose and ask me to cook it for them when they want, you know, like that was just a lifestyle change for me that then inspired you. But then for me, it's fulfilling because I've had to give up a lot. Yeah. So, you know, it's been a major life change for me, and to know that it actually helped inspire you as well to do something that helps your family and will help hopefully millions of other families, you know, that's just...
I believe it will. And if you guys are watching, go grab the book, read Pamela's story. First time I met Pamela, first time I read her story, literally it brought tears to my eyes. But I've been so inspired, motivated by her. You know, we're not here to be political at all, whether it's COVID or whatever's going on, right? When Pamela says, create a life you love, she is definitely someone that says, this is my purpose, and here's how I'm going to live in it. So reach out to Pamela if you need to.
Pamela, how can anybody out there get in touch with Pamela if they have any questions for you?
Find me on Facebook is the quickest and easiest way to get in touch with me. Pamela Geiger, Create a Life You Love. I have a page, Pamela Geiger. My personal page is also a public page. I live my life like an open book. Here I am. I don't, so I got nothing to hide. So reach out to me on Facebook, or even you can text me or call me at 416-904-1629.
Awesome. Pamela, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you so much for this opportunity.
Awesome. That's great. Another great story, man. It's
Wow.
this is time's flying by. Time flies by when
Yes.
you're having fun. We're looking at 11:45 right now. Do you know what that means, Gordon?
What does that mean?
What does it mean? 11:45. It means we got Tom Chester coming up. We got Tom Chester joining us for a chat. Let's bring him in here. Tom. There he is. There he is. Tom. There he is. Tom. Tom's in his living room.
There he is.
There he is in his living room. He's going to play us a little ditty on the piano.
Can you? Yeah.
There he is.
Mr. Super Bowl.
Can you get me good?
Mr. Super Bowl. Tom Chester.
We can hear you. We can hear you. Getting a little. He's a little choppy though right now. Let's give him a second.
Good. It looks like I'm in a kind of a holding stage. Okay.
Yeah, I think
I can
you're
see you
okay.
guys. So
We can hear you.
hello, Gordon. Hey, Jason. How are you
Good
guys
morning,
doing
Mr.
today?
Chester.
Okay. Good. It just looks like I'm in slow motion.
That's all right. You go ahead, Tom.
It's so good to be here with you guys today. Phenomenal book. It's really good. It looks like I'm in slow motion in Chinese style mode. Am I doing?
We can hear you. I think that's most importantly. We got the audio. We can hear you good.
I'm in robotic stage.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So anyway, it really is good to be here today, all the way from what it looks like, Japan. No, I'm kidding. This is amazing. Being in the book and being part of what you guys are doing for Landed for Success has been a real pleasure. Having a chapter in the book is just really on top of the Sunday. So I am so excited to be here today and spend this time with you guys. If there's any, I wrote about finding the superhero in you. And I think what I have is I have found the superhero in each and every one of you. And I just am really excited. I have the book. I downloaded the book. And reading each and every one of your stories is like a blessing from above. So it really is fun to be a part of Landed for Success, and even, the book itself. So thank you guys for having me here today. Looking forward to next time and the next book. So it's exciting to be here.
Yeah, we got to give a big shout out to Tom for his the way he was able to give exposure to the book via public relations and PR, and he's got us on some great resources out there, and we appreciate that, Tom. The exposure that we're getting for the book could not be done without Tom's help.
Yes. Yeah, Innovators Magazine, incredible. I shared that article, Tom, Innovators Magazine, and they said, when I went to the page, Gordon, I was looking for your face, but then I see Mark Cuban, and I see David Johns, and I see Jeff Bezos. Like, these guys are in the same magazine. Like, what's going on here? So thank you so much, Tom, for giving props to all the authors.
You're all welcome. I believe, honestly, each and every one of these authors rank up at the top of the top. Oprah Winfrey, Daymond John, Howard Stern, Mark Cuban, the list goes on and on and on Business Innovators Magazine. These are your celebrities out there that are changing lives. And I honestly believe that the authors in this book deserve to get the showcase and the recognition for what they're doing, like just like any other celebrity out there. They and have superpowers, and their stories are remarkable. The transformation that they're making in their lives and other lives are just unbelievable, very, very much.
I think one of the big takeaways was within the book. I mean, Pamela touched on it in the last interview, and a lot of these stories are all around that recurring theme, which is going from burnout to victory. And I think burnout means something different for everybody. But what does that mean for you, Tom? What does it mean to burn out?
You know, when I wrote the book, I just specifically wanted to show people, you know, that burnout means a lot. It does. You know, it's like you're like mentioned in the Bible, where it talks about the smoking in the older times it was in a clay lamp. It was the wick, and what happened a lot of times is it was slow to burn, or actually it was fast to burn and easy to burn. Not only was it that, but the oil in the would actually burn out, and then you would create a very pungent, and it would be very annoying people, very very harmful to people. And I think at times, you know, oil runs out when we're just drained of resources. We have nothing else to give or nothing else to go. There comes a time in our life where this happens to each and every one of us. But I wanted to point out that God doesn't quench that wick. God doesn't put out the lamp just because you're burnt out. So it's that reignite, ignite, set on fire all over again, where it doesn't have to be the end game. It can be the all game to greater and bigger and longer and everlasting heights and depth. So just like that, you know, it's one of those things where we don't have to, even though we go through it, we don't have to be overcome by it. We don't have to be controlled by it. Through it, we can get over it. We can get around it. And all of us have been shut down, shut up for so long. It's time to get out here and let our light shine.
I think that's awesome and amazing and well said. I do truly believe that every single entrepreneur along their entrepreneurial journey at some point along the road does hit that burnout. And a lot of times, in a lot of cases, that burnout is the epiphany to make changes in their processes, in the way they do things. And they know that's the bottom. And you never want to go past that bottom. You can see the base. Now it's up. Everything is up from there. And I think a lot of these stories shed light on those experiences to get from that place of burnout and to succeed.
You're absolutely right. All the authors in this book have faced burnout. A lot of them in different ways, a lot of them at different times in their life. Some of them were almost started out with burnout, or started out with difficult circumstances that they had to get around. Others later on in life, as they got older, it themselves. So it doesn't matter if you're in, it doesn't matter where you came from, it doesn't matter how you came in to the succeed as you have. But every one of you need to understand that each one of you are a superhero. You have superpowers, and those powers can be used to save the day. And everybody to understand the power within them and the power that is working through them is really what gets you through any circumstance. Any circumstance that you face today can be done because greater is he that's in you than he that is in the world. And it's so amazing to be a part of this book. Jason, man, I tell you what, I read your chapter. I loved it. Gordon, the introduction by John Shin, each and every one of those had something special to actually say and a point to do. And that's what I wanted the article to prove. It wasn't, oh, poor me. It was, oh, look where I got to and how I came from and how I got through the bad situations in my life. And each and every one of them learned a lesson. Each of them are still being progressively taught by this and will continue to benefit from being burnt out, but not burnt up.
I love it. I love that. And I think one of the important takeaways from the book as well, and Tom, it's great points that you bring up, is that, you know, when that person, and I envision this book to be to really resonate with that business owner that's starting out, that hits that rut. And rather than easily just hitting that quit button, It's like, no, persevere, get through that, stay determined, stay, perseverance. And Think and Grow Rich talks about this all the time, just sticking with it and not giving up. And I think by sharing these stories in the book, a lot of these new entrepreneurs will be able to relate to that and perhaps not give up when you have a tough day or hit that point of burnout. There are better days ahead. And I'm hoping this is one of the big takeaways that this book provides to new entrepreneurs.
Absolutely, Jason. It's really important for everybody to pick up the book, to buy the book, to read the book. If you're just going to read the article that was wrote in Business Innovators magazine, you've missed the point. You missed the mark. You need to go read the stories that are in the book. And that's what's going to help you get to move forward in your life, whether your personal life, your business life, is what these people are talking about. You can relate to. You can relate to all the ones that are in the book. And, the stories that each and every one of you guys tell is really remarkable and well done. Thank you very much for allowing me to have a part and share finding the superhero in you in the book.
You're on mute, Gordon.
Can you guys hear me?
Still very like I'm still in a Chinese. I'm sorry.
I was speaking in Chinese. That's why you guys couldn't understand me. No, I was just kidding. You guys are watching Tom Chester.
Oh, is that what it is? My lips are...
Tom Chester, I love this man. He is such an incredible friend. He is somebody who's very humble. He's helped us immensely along this journey with us putting out the second book. We've been featured in ABC News, NBC News, MarketWatch, indexed over 300 articles, right, on Google. And, Tom runs around. I hate to say this. He was just at the Super Bowl. He was at the Super Bowl, right? But Tom runs around with the who's who's, like literally the who's who's. Individuals who are just getting started in business. If you're just getting started, you need PR, reach out to Tom. But, Tom's got A-listers, clients, literally, I don't know, Tom, if I can say this, but some of his clients are literally millionaires and billionaires. And that's how humble he is. He's here with us today with our little book, with our little project. So if you guys are watching and you can support our little project here by purchasing a copy of the book today, go and read Tom Chester's story, right? Finding the superhero in you. I didn't really know how much I could find the superhero in myself, right? Didn't even know if I could be a superhero until Tom Chester told me that I could. So please go grab a copy of Tom's book, our book, and read Tom's story and go and give him a 5-star review. You guys will love Tom.
Awesome. Tom, if our audience has any questions for you, what's the best way for them to get in touch?
Thank you, Gordon. It's always a pleasure. Well, if they read the article, the best thing to do is they can just go down to the bar and they're going to see my, I'm a contributing writer for Business Innovators magazine. Also, my digital business card is at every one of my articles. All they got to do is click on that. It has my email. It has a phone number. You couldn't miss me in any shape, form, or fashion. I'm indexed on Google. I've been writing about Land for Success, Gordon So, and this book, and continue to do so. The Business Innovators magazine wanted this and picked it up within less than seconds, right, Gordon? So that's just one of the ones that I honestly push this through. So there'll be other major media networks that grab this up as soon as we write more. And that's why coming today to be a part of this party, this celebration, was so great. And I've invited so many of my friends here. Hopefully they're watching. I think being in slow motion might be kind of fun.
All good. Awesome. Tom, thank you so much. Thank you for everything you've done for Land for Success and for the launch of the book. And we look forward to talking to you again real soon.
Thank you. Thank you, Tom. Thank you.
Thank you, Gordon.
Looking
Tell
forward
Jay
to
said hi, okay, buddy?
Take care.
Bye now.
Awesome.
Wow, what an amazing guest. Jason, we have a guest who may be joining us from the UK.
Okay.
And so he's Keith. So just in case if you may see him in the back, he's got very tight on schedule between the UK, Dubai, everywhere. I don't even know where he is right now. He's traveling everywhere.
You know what? You know, just for the sake of time, because we do have Nathan coming up, but Nathan has not joined the backstage yet. We're still looking for him backstage. I don't know where he is. So you know what? If Keith wants to join us right now, we might be able to slot him in there. Keith, if you're watching, there's a link there in the Facebook chat. Hit that link, join us backstage, and we'll bring you up. In the meantime, Gordon, while we wait for our next guest, I want to go over some of the comments that people left today. I think it's worth noting. Terence, morning, all great authors. We are ready to rumble. We got Shilpi. Hello, authors. Congratulations to all. Thank you, Shilpi. We've got, who else we got here? We got Voom today. Don't know what that is. We got Tom Chester, who just joined us there. That was an awesome interview with Tom. And let's see who we got here. We're still waiting for Nathan. Keith, feel free to join us as well. Join us, hit that link. In the meantime, I guess we can talk a little bit about art parts in the book, Gordon.
Absolutely. So, Jason, you know, I'm going to pick on you, man. Like I thank you. You have a busy, right? Business yourself. Merge Media. You've got a young family. And what you taught me is always set aside time for things that are important. And that's your family. Right?
You know, yeah, I think it's more important than, I mean, there's that obviously setting time aside for the family, but this is something I struggled with in the past. It's when you're there, you're actually there. There's been so many times growing the business, starting the business, you know, there's something that's bothering me, or there's an email I need to get to. I'll be sitting there with my kids, but I'm not really there. My mind is elsewhere. And it's apparent, you know, they can tell, like, what's wrong with you, Daddy? Like, what are you looking at? What are you focused on? What are you thinking? It's just like, I'm not really there. So I made it. I made it one of my things, and I write this in my journal all the time, my 5-minute journal. It's like, when I'm there, I'm there. So I book a time in my calendar. For example, this 2-hour book launch, nothing else matters to me right now. Everything's turned off. All devices are turned off, and I'm here. And that's something that I know I struggled with in the past, with the shiny thing always passing by, catching my attention. I've learned just to focus on one thing and one thing only, no matter where I am. And that's over time. That just took time to learn and do.
It's hard, right? I get caught up in that.
Yeah.
Not being present, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now I have my baby granddaughter. So like when I'm babysitting her, like I got to be present.
Mm-hmm.
I've taken second Tuesday every month, a page out of your book, Jason. On Tuesday, you guys seen it. My phone's put away. Everyone knows me. I sleep with my phone. Mm-hmm. You know, people say, well, what would you do if you didn't have social media? I die. Right. So I have to have my phone. So Tuesday, when I'm with my baby daughter, my phone's, you can't get a hold of me.
Yeah, 100%.
It's a ways to avoid burnout, isn't it?
You got to do it, though. It's so important. It's so important. I mean, I'm so much happier now not having to think about anything else. Like, I put my phone in a totally different room when I sleep. From the hours of like basically 5 to 8:30, when the kids go down, you can't access me. And it's meant to be like that. It's meant to do that because your mind needs to be in one place, focused on one thing. And a great book's The One Thing. The One Thing, amazing book, game changer. It's like my personal business Bible.
Well, you know, you cannot, from what I was told, I don't know how correct this is. I'm not a lawyer. I can't give you advice, but you cannot copyright the title of a book. So I can see Jason Hunt teaching about the one thing. Wouldn't that be amazing? That could be one of your books in the future, Jason, teaching people the one thing.
Write that down.
The one thing.
Awesome. Hey, Gordon, you know what we have backstage? You're not going to believe it. We have him back. We have Keith Williams backstage. Should we bring him up?
Wow.
Should we bring him up?
Absolutely.
All right, let's bring him up. Keith, what is going on?
Hey, Jay. Hey, Gordon. How are you guys? Good to see you. Wow. I've been listening for a few minutes. Brilliant.
Doing pretty good. Judging by your accent, you must be in California.
I don't have an accent, but I'm in London.
Well, you guys, Jason, Keith and I have been friends for like 3 decades. This is a man that I absolutely love. I love his character. I love his integrity. And if you ever, you know, burnout to victory. I can't think of anybody with a better story than Keith. And I know you're extremely busy. I can never keep track what country you're in. But,
I'm in London, but I'm in Dubai next week.
I'm going to turn it to back to Jason, and then I'm going to sit back and just enjoy and listen to what you guys have to share.
Let's hear about that. Keith, first of all, I mean, before we get into it, to understanding who Keith is, why is Keith going to Dubai?
I'm going to take a slight break, a week, but I'm going to try to extend my business and build into new territories. So I'll be there for 3 weeks, Jason. And
There's actually
lined up.
Nice. I don't know if you're attending. There's a big conference over there.
I am. Yes,
you're going there.
Currency event.
Philly Grand Slam, right?
That's in Dubai. I think 15th, 16th, or 16th, 17th of March. So I'll be there for that.
Oh, right on. That's amazing. Okay, awesome. I guess it begs the question: what does Keith do?
What do I do? I think I sell hope. I sell hope. I give people a chance and a chance to change their lives and dream again, I suppose, Jason. That's what I do.
Awesome.
I try and serve the mass and see what I can do, make a difference in the lives of many.
So you've got chapter 4 in the book, The New Way.
The New Way, yes.
The New Way. What's the old way?
The old way? Oh my gosh. What industry are we talking about? There's something, I mean, obviously, for me, I'm in the space of cryptocurrency, so that is definitely the new way. And the new buzzword is the metaverse, the new way. If you look back over the last century, 20th century, there's been a lot of new ways. And I think for me, is to identify the next big thing or the next wave. And that could be a new way for you, because sometimes you might need to think, well, what I'm doing right now isn't right with the direction or the industry I'm in. But if you just take a look and have a bit more peripheral vision, you might see something else, which might be the new way for you.
This is a topic that we could probably geek out on for an hour easily. And I got to have you, and I'm going to ask you right now, I'd love to have you on the podcast if you'd be up for it, my business podcast, to talk about this exact topic, because a lot of people are hungry for information on this topic. Selfishly, myself, who's started to dabble in the crypto, I bought a handful of NFTs recently. My alpaca de baz. And it's I bought it. I bought these alpacas because there's a lot of hype around them, and for a lot of people out there, they're probably looking at us like we're speaking Chinese. But it's like I bought these alpacas, and essentially they're going to be pivotal in the metaverse and Sandbox. So I don't know how I could use it yet.
Right now, Jason, brilliant. The weekend just gone, of course, we had the biggest show on earth, and it was known as the Crypto Bowl. So we had 5 or 6 adverts for different companies throughout the entire 3-hour show, the sport, and it was brilliant, absolutely fantastic. I think there's a lot more awareness now. I've been in the space off and on for 5 years, really focused for the last 2.5 years, but there is a healthy appetite outside in the public for this new way.
Yeah, it's obviously apparent. It's giving it additional credibility when you have the likes of Matt Damon partnering himself up with brands. You have, Coinbase, for example, had this advertisement during the Super Bowl, which got crazy. It was just a QR code going across the screen, and it got crazy amounts of signups just from that app.
Crashed their platform.
Oh, it did. It crashed the platform.
Yeah, it did, absolutely, for an hour outage for an hour.
Wow. So, if somebody's a newbie, which I'm sure a lot of our audience are watching this now in terms of crypto, what's the easiest way, like foot in the door, dipping the toes in the water to get started?
The space is parallel to what we already know. Stocks and shares, Forex trading is a parallel world. It's a completely parallel world. I would certainly encourage everyone to get an education first, learn about it. Don't go in and say, right, your best mate says, I'll buy this token, and then you're in and you don't know what you're doing. Learn about the space, learn about the platforms that are out there, the exchanges, the wallets, coins, what the coin and the token is, how to move, how to send, how to receive. You need education, Jason. It's so important.
Definitely. And you hear that a lot now, even when you start listening to crypto podcasts and, crypto experts talking, they always preface what they say is, this is not financial advice. Do your own research. You got it.
So I say, get some education. There's some great YouTube channels now that, you should subscribe to. It gives you a daily feed of what's going on and how to as well. But, don't just dive into it because, your friend says, oh, just get an account with this wallet and buy this token or coin. that I did that early on.
You learned your lesson
successfully, absolutely. So yeah, it's exciting times, Jason. As I said, my sort of 40-year career in business, and I've had to find new ways. It's my fourth industry.
That's amazing. So you're the shiny thing that passes by is catching your attention.
Well, not necessarily the shiny thing. Knowing when an industry, when that wave is pretty much flattened out, and if things starting to change for you personally, do you stay there and drown, or fall off the board, or do you find another wave that will take you? And that's sort of my last 40 years, 10-year increments, property, telecoms, when deregulation was big in the 90s. I went into a little stint in pensions and investments for about 8-10 years, learned about the regulated space investment. And now this new wave, this new space is incredible. And they will see me all the way now, because it's the work, it's the future.
That's amazing. And we had Rick Kai earlier on talking about similar to what you're talking about, Keith, in terms of knowing the right time to pivot and change something that might be a dying industry and evolve to something else. A great example of this is during the pandemic, when you had a lot of those e-commerce, not even e-commerce businesses, but product businesses, if those ones that didn't evolve to an e-commerce platform,
Jason,
right off, right?
How many household names, how many companies that we've grown up with are no longer around?
Yeah.
The last couple of years have definitely sorted out the strong from the weak. And unfortunately, we've lost some really great names on the high street, or some really great companies, because they weren't adapting to the changes that were definitely coming. It's been on the cards, and we've seen it. E-commerce is obviously big. And those companies that were positioned correctly have grown, and they've benefited over the last 2 years.
I'm still nostalgic, and I do miss Blockbuster. I really do miss my Friday night routine, going into Blockbuster, looking at the best releases.
I miss Woolworths.
Yeah, right.
Wow, pick and mix. I miss it.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. So go out there and check it out. The book itself, Chapter 4, The New Way, by Keith Williams. You'll get a ton of value from that, I am sure. Keith, tell us about the process in terms of becoming a part of this book, and how did you find it? And maybe you can give some advice to any listeners out there that are thinking of having their own book written.
Well, I've known Gordon for 20 plus years, 22, 25 years. And, Gordon and I have been talking about it for some time. He says, you really got to come, and you really got to give us some content. There's so much that you have to offer. So, our relationship is very strong. I said, Gordon, I'm very busy, but I found the time. And, I read the first book, and I thought, wow, fantastic stories, and so inspirational, and all very different. And I thought, yeah, this is something I'd like to be a part of. I've not written a book before. I've not written a chapter before, but I think this is probably the preview to what I'm going to do, which is write a book. And so a lot of content. So if you've got any listeners now looking in, and they have a story to tell, we all have a story in us anyway. And I just happen to have a few stories in me. So, it was quite easy to get a chapter together. And I thought, I'll contribute and add value, which is what it's all about.
Absolutely amazing. Keith, I was just going to jump in there for a sec. In your story, I want folks to grab a copy and read your story, because it is so inspiring. Now, the story that you wrote was not the story that I thought you would write. So number one, thank you. That's a brilliant story. You're so humble with your success right now. Rick Kai, Sensei Rick, actually, he's part of your team as well. You have such a massive organization around the world right now. People can't relate to you anymore. They keep thinking, man, you're so successful right now. I mean, you must have been born with a silver spoon in your mouth. I don't know how much time we have left, Chase, because we got more people coming on. But I was hoping very quickly, would you feel comfortable? Our friend Elliot Hiller, we wouldn't be here today without Elliot. Right? Thank you. Elliot was in the first book. Says, Keith, you got to be in this book as well. Your story about the gas station in the house. Are you able to share that a little bit? Because do we have time, Jason? This story is unbelievable.
Yeah, go for it. We definitely have time.
The gas station and the house. Wow. Well, in in my book, I talk about.
And I know you didn't take the gas and you didn't burn down the house, so that's not where we're going. In my book, I talk about a little bit about my upbringing, also the fact that I was in the oil and gas industry, so I studied in that space. I left college and got a real top job at a company, and we built oil rigs. We designed oil rigs and gas fields, and I thought, well, that's my career. That's what I wanted to do, and I quickly realized after around 6-7 years that this is not what I want to do, and I don't want to stay in an office for the next 40 years. I understood what the 40-40-40 plan was, and it wasn't for me. And being exposed to the world of personal development very early at 19, being exposed to companies that you can start from the bottom and you can just come in. You got the same opportunity as everyone else. The industry of people franchising, sharing, community building. It moved me sufficiently to say, I'm going to leave this world of employment, take a risk, and step out on faith. And I did that. And my journey's taken me through 3 industries. I'm in my 4th industry, from properties, which I got wiped out in the early 90s. And that was a good lesson for me. And then I went into telecoms, and when I met you, Gordon, that was a great journey for me there. I learned about residual income, residual money coming in. And that was really, really exciting times. And I rode that wave for a good 10-12 years. Fantastic. The beginning of deregulation, and then deregulation of gas, electricity. I was in the telecoms industry. And of course, again, when that started to tailor off a little bit, I went into the space of pensions and investment, because they made some changes here, some rule changes regarding your investments and pensions, and I saw an opportunity. Where I find myself now, because obviously you're always, if you're an entrepreneur, you're always going to be looking for opportunities and trends. And of course, cryptocurrency is a big trend. And in 2.5 years, it's transformed my life. It's helped me to create now a dynasty, my family, and everything is just being transformed in literally 24 months. And now, my lifestyle is completely different. Now, that's not just me. There are literally dozens and hundreds that are doing exceptionally well. And it's so pleasing for me, because, you bring your friends along with you, and you bring their friends along with them, and it's brilliant, Gordon. So, yeah, from oil and gas to, palatial home. That's amazing. So Keith, I know we have short on time, and none of this is scripted. What the part that I was hoping you would share, if you're comfortable with it. Remember, you were at a gas station a few years ago, and you struggled even to put gas in the car.
Oh, that's part of my story. Absolutely.
Was it in the book?
Well, I didn't put it in the book.
I was you didn't put that, right?
I didn't put it in the book.
That wasn't too long ago. So I'm thinking, people are going. People are struggling right now and thinking literally only 2 or 3 years ago, you didn't have gas money.
Yeah, I wish I was born with a silver spoon. I don't know if I wish I would. I've loved my journey. But Gordon, you're absolutely right. It wasn't so long ago I didn't have gas in my tank. We call it petrol in your car. And our dear friend Elliot and a few family friends were bailing me out, helping me out. I was on the never. I was always borrowing. And I found myself in a situation, and I said, wow, I've fallen down again. And that was not. And, my story is a story of strength and belief and faith that it will get better. But it wasn't so long ago that I didn't have gas money. So I was stuck in the house. I was a prisoner indoors. I couldn't leave the house. I had to wait for someone to either, lend me some money.
Now I want to come to your house because you have an indoor swimming pool. You have your tennis court. I want to be a prisoner in your house now.
We should have a launch party at Keith's house. What are we doing here?
Exactly. England.
I don't mind staying indoors. I don't mind being a prisoner of my home now. But back then, it was pretty difficult. you know, I live in London. I don't believe you can be poor in London, you know, but I was certainly broke, so I didn't have any liquidity. I was struggling, trying to find an opportunity, and I was transitioning. And the transitioning part is always difficult when you go from one industry, one company, one business to another. And that took me about 2 years, and I drained my resources. And I, as I said, from not having gas money to now, well, having plenty of gas money.
Awesome.
I left out the book, Gordon, because I'll cover that when I do write my book.
Your new book.
That experience, and as I relied, and I had to heavily rely on family and friends to get through a very difficult period of about a year. And then things just turn around. So if it's looking bleak and dark for you right now, and the pressure's on, and the bill collector keeps ringing, and you know you're hiding from the phone calls, it can turn around, and it can turn around in a heartbeat. Literally 28 months turned around.
Amazing.
Awesome.
Keith, we would love for you to consider coming back and being a staple in our series. Volume 2, Volume 3, Volume 4, and obviously your own book as well. But so I just want to plant that seed.
Thank you, Gordon. I appreciate that. Yes, I'd love to. Yeah, thanks for the invitation. Absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I mean, as I said, I didn't know if I had a book in me, but you and I have been speaking for some time, and you know,
your book is going to inspire millions. Your story needs to be told. Yeah.
Thank you, Gordon. I mean, I've fallen many times, like we all have, but I have really fallen many times. And you know, Les Brown says it so well: if you are going to fall on your back, so you can look up.
You can get up.
You can get up. And those sort of things stick in me. And I always say, like, tomorrow's another day. If it's bleak today, and it's just go to sleep, wake up tomorrow, and everything might look completely different for you. And you might be able to tackle your challenges, and you know, that's what life is about, isn't it? It's how you
love it.
What's thrown at us.
Thank you. Before we let you go, because we have another guest coming on. Before we let you go, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. And I do want to let you know that as skeptical as I am with crypto, you are the first individual that took me out for lunch at the Westin Hotel, and you literally paid with your cryptocurrency credit card. They're like, wow.
And I saw your belief level just go like this. Is like, wow, what did you just do?
That was a great experience.
I want to grab that clip and then show you again in 5 years, Gordon, and how ridiculous that comment's going to sound.
We created so Jason and I was just talking, Keith. Like, Jason is incredible. You should reach out and have a conversation with him. He is blowing up. Right?
He's coming on the podcast. He's coming on the podcast.
So, you know, can we create I would love to, we talked about, you know, take our authors, have them autograph, have an image. Can we make some
NFTs?
NFTs. Can we create like Landed for Success NFTs?
Of course we can.
You planted the seed, Gordon.
There you go. Now, let's have an NFT.
Keith, if anybody has any questions for you, Keith, how can they get in touch with you?
I'm not really big on social media, but they can get hold of me. I do have a Insta. I just told I've got one. I think it's keith.rvp. You can find me on Facebook, of course. Keith Williams. You'll have to look for this face here, but you'll find me on Facebook. And that's about it, really. I'm not a big social, but you know, you can get hold of me.
Awesome. Keith, thanks for taking the time today to chat with us. Appreciate it.
Gordon, always a pleasure. Thank you, guys.
Likewise. Thank you.
Awesome. That's Keith Williams, Chapter 4, The New Way. Excited to check out that chapter for sure. And anybody out there who has not went over and purchased a Kindle off of Amazon yet, there should be a link in the description here. Go on over, pick it up, $2.99. Best $2.99 you've ever spent. That's less than a Starbucks coffee, man. Right? Like, come on. Awesome. So we have somebody else waiting backstage to get up here and speak with us, Gordon. Do you know who that is?
No. Who's the next special guest?
I'll give you a hint, okay? I'll give you a little hint here. He wrote Chapter 11. There's a little hint for you. He wrote Chapter 11, Never Stop Believing.
Never Stop Believing. Mr. Nathan.
Mr. Robert Paul.
No.
There he is.
Sorry.
It's a
Oh my
gentleman.
goodness, Gordon, you did me like that, man.
Mr. DJ is in the house. My
I
apologies.
can't
Robert.
believe you did me like that, man.
No, look at Robert. Look at the
Never
swag.
stop believing.
The swag. Look at the swag.
You see
He's
that,
a
man?
poster boy. He's a
Look
poster
at
boy.
that.
I love it.
I love it.
Thank you for allowing me to be a part of it, guys.
I've got so
really
much
appreciate it.
respect for Robert. I remember my friend Dr. James Dentley had the Inspired to Speak, and I
Shouts
flew
out to
into Chicago, and he said, "Mr. Robert Polk is going to come and pick you up." And I met Robert in Chicago. We were at the IHOP. Remember that, man? IHOP pancakes is the best. Don't tell my wife I said they're unbelievable. But ever since Robert and I have been amazing friends. So I want to say thank you for being part of Land for Success. And if anybody's watching, his story is incredible. Incredible, Robert. I want to take 5 seconds and bounce it back to you. And we did an Empower Women to Succeed series, and one of our authors talked about being 9 years old, and her mom never made it home from Italy because her father murdered his mom. I thought I would never ever, and he was mafia. So that's the story for another day. After that, I thought I would never ever hear an author in any of our series talk about experience something like that. And yet you've experienced some incredible stuff. Your burnout to victory is just amazing. So thank you for being part of our family of authors here. So that's my piece. Thank you. This is your time, so I have to bounce it back to you and Jason.
I gotta ask. Is the title of the chapter inspired by a Journey song?
No, I do like Journey though. I love Journey.
Awesome.
Yeah,
so Robert, first of all, before understanding your story, maybe tell us what you do.
Well, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm in the health and the wellness. I'm also a DJ. And I also, started my own t-shirt
merchandiser.
business.
Yes.
Yeah, merchandiser. So I'm just kind of all over the place right now,
Where are you located?
I just love what I do. I have to, you have to be in love. You have to have a passion for what you do. And music overtakes everything. Music for me is how I escape. Music for me is what soothes my soul when I'm in an uncomfortable position or in an uncomfortable situation. Music always takes me and relaxes me. So yeah, I love music.
I was thinking about that this morning because I think for a lot of entrepreneurs, you're always trying to learn. So you're listening to podcasts or you're listening to audiobooks. Sometimes on that drive home, you got to flip the script and play some music, right? Get in a different frame of mind. And it's an escapism, right? So for you, I mean, specifically for you, what are some, what's some music that you tune into? What kind of music is inspirational for you to use as your kind of escapism?
Well, I like jazz. On my ride, when I'm riding, I always listen to jazz. I used to be, I used to be a CNN junkie, right? And it had got to the point where I was like, whoa, I cannot listen to CNN no more. So I'm just saying all that to say that the CNN piece of it just took me and it changed the vibe to negative. So I had to let it go because it was just talking about so much negative stuff. But I was just, I had got into that was during my depressed time too, by the way, that I just had to just keep listening to it. But as I grew out of it, as I came out of it, jazz kind of took me there. So I'm a big jazz fan.
100%. I love that. And I love the fact that you had this, the self-discipline to be like, I don't want to watch the news anymore. I like the news, it's good to keep up to date, but I got to turn off the TV because this is not feeding my brain at all. And like you, Robert, I did the same thing. At 11 o'clock news at night, I'd watch it as I fall asleep. But then it came to the point where 90% of the content on the news was just negative. And then there's a little story at the end though about some cat being rescued out of a tree. And that's it, and I'm just like, this is enough. I've had enough of this.
So yeah, I don't even have cable no more. I haven't had cable almost a year and a half. I don't even have cable no more.
Good for you. Good for you. And I think the big takeaway that I'm getting here from you, Robert, is being cognizant of what you're feeding your brain.
Exactly.
Right? Be aware of what you're feeding your brain. And how does that, I mean, obviously when it comes to, let's talk a little bit about the burnout for you. What was that point of burnout for you and the epiphany or realization that you had to come out of it?
Well, I was married, and my marriage was on the brink, and it finally ended. And when it ended, I just asked God, to just help me, and I just walked away from the marriage. I couldn't deal with it anymore. And it's not to say anything was, bad with my wife, but had got to the point where it was depressing. And when I decided to leave, I moved into my own apartment, and I literally slept on the floor for about 3 months because I didn't have the money. It was days where the earlier guest, Mr. Keith Williams, when he was talking about no gas money, I didn't have food, I didn't know how I was going to make it from one day to the next. And I just fell into this real deep depression. And, my dad had, I watched my dad deteriorate from cancer the year before. And then my son got murdered on the streets of Chicago. And it was like, I was about to be evicted. My car was on the repossession list. I mean, it just had got bad. And I just, I talked to my mentor, Dr. James Dentley, and I explained to him what was going on. And he was like, man, you need to pray and meditate more.
Wow.
You need to find you a spot somewhere where it's just you and God, and I'm not invoking religion or anything. I'm just, giving you what happened for me and how I got out of it. And I just had to sit in a quiet place. I just had to be still. I had to clear my mind. I couldn't stay focused because I was in that depressed state. But it started to get easier for me.
Wow.
The more I did it, the more I started listening to personal development, the Jim Rohns, and listening to the Think and Go Rich audio, and how to influence friends. It just started to click for me, and I just slowly came out of it. And now, I'm in a home now, from homeless to home.
Wow.
What? The recurring theme and everything that you're saying there, Robert, is the title of your book. It's belief and believing, right? You always had hope, and you always believed, and you always had that. Sounded like you had that light at the end of the tunnel where it's like, I'm going to get out of this. It's not going to be like this forever.
Right.
It's going to get better. And it sounds like you always had that close to your heart, and you leaned into it every time where you hit a rough time. Is that accurate to say?
Yes, very accurate.
Yeah, that's awesome. So for those out there, Robert's chapter, Never Stop Believing, definitely take a read of that chapter. And Robert, if somebody wants to get some of this Landed for Success swag, how can they touch it? How can they get it?
Well, my Facebook page is Robert Pope. It's got, it's a picture of me with my previous book. So I really don't do Instagram. That's because I don't know how yet.
We'll help you out, Robert.
My granddaughter told me, she was like, you still on Facebook, Grandpa? Those for old people.
We'll help you out. Robert, did you know that you and Jason could have started a band together?
A band?
Are we the two chapters?
I don't play instruments. I just play music.
We're the two chapters in the book probably talking about music, aren't we?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So you're right. Maybe we can. I mean, in a past life, I used to rap. I was part of a band, and it was a rap rock band, and I used to rap and be the front man, and it was good fun, but always looking for good, good instrumentalists like yourself. So, but that was in a past life, man. I'm gonna have to go into the time machine and then talk to Robert back in 2006.
There you go. Right. Listen, the Toronto Jazz Festival, Robert, is probably the best jazz festival in the world.
When is it?
It's in the summertime, but because of COVID, it's been shut down a couple of years.
Okay,
right? They closed down the entire block, and everyone comes from all around the world. It's one of the most incredible jazz festivals ever.
Where are you located, Robert?
I'm in Chicago.
Oh, right on. Yeah, Chicago.
I'm in Chicago. Yeah.
You know, the guys who bully us on the courts, the Michael Jordans. I mean, the city of win champions.
Yeah, I know, right? That's it. That's us. We got the most championships in the basketball team. So I can't say much about football and baseball, but at least we got the basketball team.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. Yeah, football's rough for you.
You know, I just wanted to real quick before we end this. I just wanted to say thank you to you guys, especially Gordon, for allowing me to be a part of this. You know, coming from my background where I came from, it's just, you know, it's so unbelievable that I'm even associated with people such as you guys. And I'm just honored. And, you know, shouts out to my mentor, Dr. Denley.
Yes.
Because it had not been for him, I wouldn't have met Gordon. I wouldn't have met Les Brown. I wouldn't have met Forrest Riley. You know, and you know what's the funny thing though, Gordon? When James asked me to pick you guys up from the airport, everybody used to talk about me. They used to call me the Uber guy.
Yeah.
but listen, but what they didn't understand is, you know, once you guys get into that space, it's like kind of hard to talk to you because now you in business mode.
Yeah.
But guess what? I got you for 45 minutes going.
Absolutely. You got it.
You know what I mean? So I had the opportunity to pick some of the best brands.
Yes.
How do you do this? How did you make it?
Yes.
How did you feel when you did this? How did this happen? So it was just an intimate one-on-one for 45 minutes from the airport to
incredible access, right? Incredible access.
Some people didn't get that.
Yeah.
And I'm just grateful for it.
Yeah, when I was building in the direct sales industry, we would fly in speakers all the time from around the world. So let's say, for example, we fly in Sir John Shin to speak at our Business Wealth Summit.
Right.
And folks, instead of seeing it as a privilege to be asked to go and pick him up at the airport, like, oh my goodness, why are you making me the Uber driver? People pay tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars to be in a room with individuals like that. And you're one of the few, and I want to say congratulations to you're one of the few that says, are you kidding me? If I can be in a car for 45 minutes with the Forrest Rileys, the Les Browns, the Jason Hunts of the world, right? And have them for 45 minutes. Wow. So I want to say thank you to you for being part of, a family of authors, guys. You know, for our Franks here in Toronto and Canada, you guys don't know Robert, get his book, get the book, read his story, give him a 5-star review. And some of your friends are sitting on the fence. I know some of you guys, and you're thinking, Land for Success, hit up Robert right now.
Yes.
We have 15, 20 authors already that have applied to be in volume 3.
Oh, wow.
Right? So
cool.
I'm looking for 5 of you who want to be in the next book in Land for Success, volume 3 with Robert. We have someone from California who just won Mrs. Universe India.
Wow.
Can you imagine that's now committed to be in the next book? We got an author from Bahrain that just said they're going to be part of it. You just heard Keith. I mean, your story, Robert, without getting into a lot of details, Keith said 2 years ago he didn't have gas money.
Yeah.
I can share with you right now, he breathes the same air in terms of success and income that our good friend Dr. James Stanley has. Can you imagine like that kind of that kind of turnaround literally in 2 years can happen for someone? Land for Success, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Awesome. Robert, this has been great. Thank you so much for your time today. And definitely go and check out Chapter 11, Never Stop Believing, Robert Paul.
Never Stop Believing.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Have a good evening.
I need a t-shirt.
Got you. I got you.
Awesome. And
what an amazing man. What an amazing story. Hey, Jason?
Yeah, that's awesome. And I'm definitely looking forward to checking out that chapter as well. Hey, question here, Gordon. I know some people are wondering, when's the paperback going to be released?
We're probably 3 to 4 weeks. So the goal right now is, as you can see, like everything we do, Land for Success, Resilient Stories, Empower and Succeed. Today's important because we want to have your support. We need your support. Like, buy a Kindle book. Let's drive it to #1 bestseller. Like, I'm actually looking at the Canadian website right now, you guys. and we are like number 3 and number 6 in 2 of our categories right now. So we're close to hitting number 1. So we need you to go and buy a copy of the Kindle version.
Go buy the copy, guys. $2.99, less than it cost. I mean, I got 2 copies here, and the book's less.
Yeah,
than
and once we do that, Jason, once we honestly hit bestseller, people say, yeah, one of the categories, Jason, is actually self-help. That's a pretty general. People say, well, pick keywords. We didn't pick basket weaving. This is self-help. Okay. Last night we were 78 on the list. We've now passed, and I'm not saying we're as good or big at all. Not at all. We just passed Tim Ferriss' The 4-Hour Work Week.
Let's give ourselves some credit there, huh? It's not bad.
Does that make sense?
That's awesome.
So let's get it to bestseller. And then when we print the official copy of the book, we want to have international bestseller around there. You'll be able to buy copies directly from the authors. You'll be able to buy them online. And the reason why we want the stamp, it's not for Jason, it's not for me, it's not for the authors. The more influence we have, who was it earlier? Who was the influencer?
Victim influencer, Rick Kai.
Sensei Rick K, right? Kai or K? It just helps somebody like him to influence more people. Does that make sense? The Pamela Geigers, the Nathans, I don't want to miss anything. The stories can literally help someone heal, right? From maybe past experiences, past trauma. So I hope that's a long-winded answer, Jason. So a couple of weeks from now, I know, a few of my friends, a dozen of them have committed to buying a Kindle copy. And I've also committed that if they buy a Kindle, this is just for me. So everybody, you can reach out to your favorite author. Those 12 people that have bought a Kindle copy, they send me a receipt. I'm actually gifting them an autographed copy of the actual book.
Boom.
When it becomes available in a couple of days.
That's amazing. I love it. Awesome. Gordon, we got to move along here. We're getting tight on time. We're getting close to the 1 o'clock hour. So next up, we have author of Chapter 5, Chasing Victory.
Wow.
Lester Bailey. There he is.
Hello, gentlemen. How are you both? Hello, Jason. Hello, Gordon. Hello, everybody that's watching us. It is amazing to be here. I love jumping in. I don't kind of wait. I've chased victory in my lifetime. When you're chasing something, you find out so many times how you just miss it. And, we always are looking for what is it that we're going to do. This is all about a book launch. I want everybody to get this as an understanding. Kindle, if you don't have a Kindle right now, it's time to go to your app right now. Immediately go to the app, download Kindle. Then your first book is going to be Landed for Success.
Yes.
We all know how important it is to be landed for success. Getting your mind right, getting your mindset right. Napoleon Hill, as we talked about so many times, and you always hear how he's been our inspiration. He said, if you can believe it, you can achieve it. So many things that you want are in between a book, the pages of books. I know Gordon didn't just do that. I know Gordon, being my friend, know that I always keep a copy of Think and Grow Rich with me. He knows what that's actually like. But for all of you all, Landed for Success, getting this book, getting started about what you want to do, how to achieve your goal. When we talk about burnout to victory, could you imagine how many people do you know in your lifetime that have not been burnt out from something? Everybody I know, no matter what it was, if you listen to other authors here, each one of them tell you about a story that always talks about what happens when you get burnt out. Some of us get knocked down and we can't give up. You can't get up. It's that feeling of, oh my goodness, how can we remove it? Why is that wall jumping in my face? I can't do this. I just don't feel it. And in the story in which I did here talks about what it took for me to get up off the ground, what it took for me to move forward in my lifetime. And it wasn't easy. Oh man, from the starting to the beginning of it, when I just knew that I was going to be, the next J. Paul Getty. And for those of you all don't know who J. Paul Getty is because of your age, J. Paul Getty at one point in time was the richest man in the world. Now you have, a couple people like Sir Richard Branson and, Jeff Hoffman, Jeff Bezos, and so many others have achieved that goal, but you never see what they had to do in order to become that success. You don't know how many times that they were burnt out and saying, I just can't do it. You know, I met Gordon just like our last guest, Robert Polk. I met Gordon picking him up from a airport, and I had an opportunity to talk to him. For the first time, he's meeting somebody he has never met, never talked to, and we became instant friends from that opportunity there. And we've been moving and moving and moving. And Gordon asked me one special question. And one of the questions just happened to have been, how would you like to be a co-author in a book of mine? I looked at Gordon, and I always wanted to be that writer. I always wanted to be that guy that says, you know what? I'm going to be in print. I know that I'm going to write something. So I looked at Gordon and I said, yeah, sure. And in the back of my mind, it says, what are you going to write? Well, we're at an event called Inspired to Speak because I wanted to become a speaker. Now, I'm never thinking about really, truly writing a book, but in my own mind, right? The little hidden thoughts that we always have. And I said, you know what? I'm going to start this. So the first thing that a friend of ours got us together, and I know his name has been thrown around a lot, you know, Sir Dr. James Dentley. He asked me to write a speech, and I couldn't think of the first word to write. Now, I'm in a 3-day class, and it took me 3 days to think of the first sentence. Like a lot of us when it comes to writing a book. What is the first thing? How do I open up? How do I begin? And I began writing that story. And as I kept writing that story, I ended up in a book called Empowering Women to Succeed. And I said, this is fun. And I went on, you know, to keep going on. And this is going to make me now a 4-time international best-selling author.
One more for a high five club, Lester.
Okay, because we're definitely doing this high five club. I want you all to understand a moment. When you're helping these authors, each and every one of us, by supporting us by getting your Kindle version, you may become, in actuality, we really want you to come here right now and be a part of what we're doing. Get your story out there. Every one of us, Jason has talked about it a lot. Every one of us has a story. How does your story, how does that affect people? You don't know until you write it. You haven't met the person that you may actually inspire next. We all can talk to somebody in a small group, in a small huddle, at a small party, but your book may end up in anybody's hands at any point in time. One of our friends, Gordon, you know, what did he say? He wrote a book that all the publishers told him he can't ever write it. No.
Yes.
And somebody, well, they're on their way to China or on their way back from China, actually listened to his podcast. And
Yes.
then his book has done. People read books. People are interested. Nobody is here by accident. Everyone who sees this podcast, see this broadcast, is not here by accident. Every one of us have had the opportunity to move forward. So we want your story. Let's see, you know, I'll challenge all of my friends. Who wants to be in volume 3? Wow. And you can put it here, write in the messenger.
Me,
you know, I'm going to give you all a little secret. It took us several books to get Gordon to write in a book. Yeah. Several books. And he turned around and went to one of his favorite mentors, Mr. John Shin, who you'll be talking to in just a little bit. And John Shin actually got his name on here. You know, all of us love to be able to have an opportunity to move forward, to be able to do this. But your story is important. Each one of us authors, our story is important. Find the story that resonates with you and then tell that to others. But don't forget to write your own. Don't forget to bring that together. So, gentlemen, seems though that I just ran away before you can ask me a question. What would you like to know from me?
You're good. You're good, Lester. You keep going. You keep going. This is awesome stuff. No, I think one of the big things, because you talk a lot about consuming books and people finding ways or reasons to consume books. What do you think is the big reason on why somebody should consume Landed for Success, Untold Stories from Burnout to Victory? What's going to be the big takeaway they're going to get from it?
The big takeaway is always you. You are in that story. Just because I wrote it does not mean that I'm not talking about you. Every time that you read a story, no matter whether it's fact or fiction, what are you doing? You're involving yourself in the story. You can always say, I did that. I went through that. Oh my goodness, what happened? What am I going to do next? How is that? They were in my brain and they said these things, but we didn't say it in your words yet. We're going to say these things in your words, especially when you write it. I can go back and look over and over again and just get so excited about reading all of these 12 stories that we have. So I want you all to start getting yourself involved in, not just sitting on the bench. All of us have been to a party, where we became the wallflower, where we just stood there and just waited and we waited and we're like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
There's a story that's in the book Think and Grow Rich, where this young druggist was in the store with, his boss. And he wanted to know one of the secrets of a lifetime. And one of the secrets happened to be learning the recipe to make Coca-Cola. Could you imagine making Coca-Cola? $500 investment is what you gave up. How much money do you think Coca-Cola has made since that first initial investment?
Recipe, right?
Insanity.
Insanity.
That's the story. Your story can be somebody's story that makes you that type of investment, because every time you write, you're writing an investment into someone's life. That's what I like about it.
Lester, Jason, I want to change gears for a minute, okay? Because the folks that are watching, you guys already know you're going to go buy a copy. We want to thank you for doing that and supporting all the authors. But did you know that Jason and Robert talked about starting a band? Lester's remember the party. This man loves music. Jason, did you know that?
I did not know that.
Let's make some music together, Lester.
That's easy for me. Even in Jason's past life, I could turn around and wake him up again because the music, it never leaves you. The Untold Story.
The Untold Story. The Untold Story that's being told here is the new business that's going to start up that's deriving from all this music talk we're talking about.
Amazing.
Here, right? It's collaboration right there, right?
Yeah.
I'll tell you one.
Power of association. It's so amazing. We think about just sharing a story here, but the relationships that we build here with our authors or readers. I'm going to share a quick story for you guys. Lester is being so humble. I want to thank you for your service, 30 years as a retired police officer.
Thank you.
Right? Something you guys may not know is Lester has protected individuals like Maya Angelou. I mean, how many of us have quoted Maya Angelou, right? How many of us would like to be a fly on the wall with U.S. presidents? Lester has protected 2 current U.S. presidents that you and I actually know. And I remember being at an event, and Wesley Snipes was one table away from us, and he had a bodyguard that was bigger than life. And I don't know how it happened, but I got to sit beside Les Brown at one of the head tables. There was just the two of us there. We had 2 bodyguards behind us. And little beknownst to everybody else, Lester was sitting at the table right beside me. I felt invincible. Here's Wesley Snipes with 1 bodyguard, and I had 3 bodyguards.
Yes, you did.
Right? Not by design, but that was one of my funnest moments, Lester. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that Summit City Gala. That's one of my most fun times. That was the first time we went to California, and I'll be back there next week. Listen, and I'm gonna cut this real short because I know we're short on time. We have the other authors, but I deal with a lot of mental health right now with Chantel Simone, and we do a Monday meditation. And
did I hear she's going to be in my next book?
Yes.
I don't know. I'm just
yes. I've already shook her up on the tree and said, let's go. We want to start talking about these stories. Everybody, get your story, grab your book, let the world know that you are here. And gentlemen, I really thank you all for inviting me in, and you all stay tuned. You got somebody else coming right behind me. You all have a fun, exciting day. And again, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Lester Billy.
Chapter 5, Chasing Victory, Lester Bailey. Definitely check it out.
Read it.
Lester
read
Bailey, also head of security for the Landed for Success World Tour, which is going to be coming up,
There
right?
you go.
Awesome.
Yes, you know it's in Hollywood.
Yes.
Thank you, Lester. Thank you for your time.
Thank you,
Al.
Lester.
Take care now.
Awesome. Cool. We're just scooting along here, and
Yeah.
we're a little behind. I think that's
Behind.
okay, though. We got Sutha coming up
Okay.
right now. Should I bring her on stage?
Let's do it. Let's do it. I think you're on track. I think I'm the one that's holding you back here, James.
That's all right. That's okay. That's okay. We're moving along here. We're good. We got Sutha, and then we got John Shin to close it out. So let's bring her up to the stage.
Sutha, how are you?
Unmute.
Unmute. Like Sutha is everywhere. I'm telling you. She was just interviewed by on Facebook. She's on Clubhouse. She's everywhere. Sutha, you got to unmute. You got
Just got to unmute yourself.
Hi.
There she
Oh,
is.
there we are. Okay, that's better. How are you, Gordon? How are you, Jason?
Doing good. Doing good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Yes.
I'm actually so excited today, right? I've been following all your pages, Amazon #1. I'm super excited. I don't have words. I'm actually flying right now.
It's amazing.
Very, very excited. Thank you, guys. It's been an amazing journey. Thank you so much.
Definitely. Thanks for taking the time to chat with us today about your involvement in the book, your chapter, The Invisible Scar. Maybe first and foremost, Sutha, you can tell us about your experience in writing your chapter in the book.
You know what? I've been thinking about this a lot, right? That's the foremost question that people's been asking me, like, why did you choose to write, right? Anyways, so writing has always been a passion for myself. And the moment I decided to write was the moment that I decided to heal myself, right? Completely let go of fear and to come out of my comfort zone and to be able to accept myself for who I really am, right? So that moment I decided I need to share. I need to share my story to the world. I need to give my story wings and let it fly. So it's been nothing but an incredible journey for the last year and a bit since I became part of Landed for Success. Gordon, Jay, and all of you wonderful people, like-minded individuals, learning so much, and there's still a long journey ahead of me, and I'm looking forward to it because it has been nothing but incredible. And thank you so much to you all. Thank you.
That's amazing. And Sutha, we haven't really talked that much today about the actual process, of sitting down and writing that chapter in the book. For you, did it come to you easy? Tell us about the how you wrote the book. Were you sitting down on your couch with a glass of wine? Were you sitting in bed at nighttime taking notes on a piece of paper? How did you come up with the process for writing that chapter?
I do a lot of self-reflection. Okay, so it's been a habit of mine where I kind of reflect on things, and it's been a habit for myself, right? So when I decided to share the story, it was really, really hard. It was very difficult for me because I chose to share a segment of my life that I was trying to put it under the carpet and kind of move on. Right? So for me to bring that story and kind of go inside my heart and bring it out on paper was by far the most difficult thing I have ever done, because I'm trying to forget. It's been like almost 10 years now. The part of the story that I decided to share happened in 2013. So for me to bring all that memory back, and I would write a line, a sentence, and then I'll just shove it away because I don't want to go back. Right? And that was so difficult. Even I'm talking to you guys right now, my hands are shaking because the thought is in my mind, right? I'm reliving the past. But then the more I bring it on paper, the more I started sharing, I was able to heal. I started accepting myself with the scar. I don't want to hide it anymore, right? It might be something small for the readers. They might have a bigger story, but for me, I lived it. Nobody lived it, right? For the audience or you, Jason, Gordon, anyone listening to my story, it might be like, oh, that's not a big deal. Or, wow, she actually faced all these things. But for me, I lived it. I have to own it. And for me to come out of that was the biggest challenge. And to be able to write it as sentence was very difficult for me. And by the end of my chapter, I felt absolutely free. When I say the word free, I felt liberated, like all that burden, the the luggage I was carrying on my shoulder has been released, right? So for me, it's been a healing process, nothing other than a healing process. And when I decided to write, I said, like, why do I need to write? If I could impact one person, inspire one person, right? That is amazing. But by the end of the story, when I had my rough copy done, I felt like I inspired myself, none other than myself. And I've healed completely, and I accepted myself with the flaws, right? And it's been amazing.
That is incredibly powerful. And your vulnerability to write that chapter, I think is worth noting. And I think this is what makes all of these stories in the book so compelling. Like, let's be honest, talking about burnout is not something anybody enjoys writing about.
Exactly.
We're talking about,
Yeah.
but every author in the book had to be vulnerable to touch on this part of their past. Obviously, there's different degrees into how challenging that time in their life was throughout the book, but that whole topic of burnout it requires authors to be vulnerable and touch on things in their life that were challenging, and what they did and those things they did in their life to overcome those challenges. And I think you exemplified that in the book very well, Sutha.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Definitely.
You're muted, Gordon.
Yeah,
Your
Gordon, we
turn to
can't
be
hear
muted.
you.
So once again, I'm speaking in Chinese and you guys can't understand. No. I absolutely loved your stories, Sutha.
Thank
You
you.
and I had conversations along the way, and I was shocked because here you are, a teacher, right? I had a 49% average in English in high school, and my teachers gave me 51 just to promote me out of the school, literally. So I can't write, and then I'm thinking you should be able to write easily, but yet you're right? That vulnerability, that
Yeah.
healing that comes from writing, and then just seeing you grow, like literally grow over the last year. Incredible, your personal growth, your confidence,
Yeah.
leading our Landed for Success events from the front of the room, doing Facebook Lives, doing Clubhouse, inviting other people to be members and authors in the book. I don't even know where to stop, right? But I just want to say thank you so much for
Yeah.
being with us.
I mean, thank you guys. It's impossible without the help and the guidance from Landed for Success. Honestly, I was a person who was in my comfort zone, right? Even though I'm a teacher, a realtor, and I am in the service industry, but this 1 year being part of Landed for Success, being able to share my story and my ability and my growth has been substantial professionally and personally. And I'm not going to stop here. Honestly, I'm looking forward to writing. I don't know if there's any spots left. Yeah,
No,
exactly.
story three.
Volume 3, exactly. And then I'm also already super excited, right? And it has been nothing but amazing journey being with Landed for Success. And it has been substantial growth for me personally and professionally. And all the credit goes to all the like-minded individuals that's been continuously helping and supporting and motivating me throughout the process.
Absolutely. The Jays of the world, the Dianas of the world, the Aishas and the Rus, the Amip. There's so many people, and I'm sure I left somebody out, right?
Yeah.
Not by design. So,
Awesome. Thank you. This has been wonderful. Thank you, Jason.
Absolutely. No, definitely. Thank you for joining us today. And Sutha, if our audience has any questions for you, how can they get in touch?
They can really reach out to me, right? Um, uh, I'm on Facebook, part of Landed for Success, and get in touch with me, guys. Like Sutha Arulanantham, you can just Google me up. I don't know if I'm there, but I'll even give you my phone number, 416 or 647-219-7004. Call me, and I do want to leave this note. Someone reached out to me about becoming a part of Volume 3, and how universe actually connects people is absolutely amazing. Because when I am sharing a story about something, I'm not going to share my story here. I want everybody to buy a copy and read it. And one person from Facebook reached out to me, and they want to be a part of Chapter 3. And here, exactly. And here he is. He was 3 years old when his mom passed away.
wow.
And he wants to bring his mom alive through a story, through a book. And when he spoke to me, when I went through what I went through in 2013, I had to make a biggest decision of my life, being a mom.
Wow.
I had to choose. I was in a time where I wanted to make sure my kids would remember me, right? So here's this person who wants to write on Volume 3, does not have any memories of his mother.
Wow.
And here I am, and he's connecting to me where I had to make a choice in 2013, worrying constantly if my kids will remember me or not. So can you see the connection? And how universe puts us in a time zone, wavelength, whatever you call it, to connect people together.
These vibrations, just the time, everything.
The vibration, the timing. Yeah. And I'm looking forward to hearing everyone's story. Call me, reach out to me through Facebook. I just want to simply hear your story.
Your story's already impacted. So your story's already making an impact.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yes, it is.
Wow.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you, Sutha. Appreciate your time, and we'll be seeing you soon.
Thank you, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. You guys got to grab your story.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if
read your story.
Anybody who's been there for the last 2 hours now, thank you. And definitely, I mean, obviously, they probably already purchased the book because they probably would have been sold in the first 15 minutes, to be honest, with Tony Ning's story, and here we are now, about to hop on with John Shin, who's got a few minutes for us. John wrote the foreword in the book, and I'm looking forward to talking to him. But before we get to John, I do want to go over a few of the comments that we have here. Tom Chester is hammering the comments.
I got competition for Tom, though. Who's going to go first? Who's going to be bestseller first, Canada or the U.S.?
Ooh, good question. He's crushing it here. Yes, definitely. Awesome. And then we got the crypto beacon. Keep this changing lives. Well, there you go. Right there you go. Awesome. Okay. So with that being said, we're just waiting for John to hop on here. But if you have not went over to Amazon yet, pick up your copy of the book. Definitely check it out. You'll be happy that you did. $2.99, less than the cost of a Starbucks coffee. Go ahead and get it. And without further ado, boom, Sir John Shin in the building.
Good morning. Welcome, sir.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, John. What's going on?
How you guys doing?
Chilling.
Amazing. Better now that you're here. What an incredible morning already. So, I don't even know how we are even fortunate to have you, right? There are folks out there that are constantly calling me and saying, Gordon, you should be part of this book and this book and this book, and it's only $5,000 or $10,000. I literally had somebody reach out to me this week. They want me to interview them, $250,000 to be an author in their book.
Insane.
Wow.
$250,000, right? And so, and then, yeah, but we got this anchor and this anchor. Look, you guys, I'm just going to take 30 seconds. This individual, in my opinion, is the modern day Napoleon Hill. He's a modern day Les Brown, Brian Tracy, Tommy Hopkins, Jim Rohn, you name it, the Ogbandinos. Those are my heroes. This man and his family are already successful. They don't have to be doing what they're doing, but yet they're still giving back every second of the day. And for us to have you, John, writing the 4 in our first book and our second book, I don't even know how to say thank you for being part of that and being here right now. So Jason, I'm going to bounce this back to you and John. Just sit back and enjoy you guys having a conversation.
Definitely. I know we don't have a lot of time, John. Thanks for taking the time to chat here. The premise of the book, the title of the book, From Burnout to Victory, and we've touched on this point. It's been a recurring theme in all of the 8 interviews we've had so far. It's, that epiphany of when you've realized you're in burnout and you got to really switch and do that 180 pivot to the path to victory. Can you in your life kind of pinpoint that point of the epiphany?
You mean like the turning point?
Turning point, 100%. Of realizing that you're burning out. You're at that point where it's like, I'm burning out here. I need to change things. Something needs to give. Something needs to get me on the right path to victory.
Yeah, I think there's several factors. One, John Maxwell, who is another amazing author that I read growing up, in business and entrepreneurship, he said something that really struck me. He says that you have to love what you do and do what you love. That if you don't love it, if you're just driven by money and that is your sole purpose, as soon as you hit a little obstacle, you'll start to say things like, this wasn't meant to be. This is a sign from God, okay, that he does not want me to do this any further. So for instance, like I built my business in the financial service industry. And I had a person who called me one time and said, I decided I don't want to move forward. And I said, well, why not? And the person said, because I failed my test and I feel like this is God's way of telling me that it's not for me. And I said, well, that's interesting because I was actually I was about to celebrate that you failed. And the person said, why would you celebrate that I failed? And I said, because you know what happens when you fail something, you could relate to other people. So I'll give you an example. The first time I took my exam, I took it very casually. And they say that when you take things casually, you become casualties. And I didn't study. I'm like, how hard could this test be? And I actually went in, I winged it, and I sat down. I thought I was in the wrong exam. And so I thought I was taking the wrong exam. So I ended up failing, right? So I came out, I was like, wow, boy, it was a humbling feeling. But from that moment, that feeling I had of failing that exam the very first time made me understand what other people go through. Well, the fortunate thing is I failed and I didn't give up. I went and took the exam again the second time. Of course, I passed the second time. But had I quit, I would not be where I am today financially. Okay. But because I stuck it out, now we've got a few hundred offices in the US. We got a few up in Canada. I think our company right now on the financial side grosses about 45 million a year. Okay. That's not too bad for a guy who didn't give up. Multiply that number by, say, 30 years. So that's been our gross revenues just in one business that we've had. That's because I didn't give up, right? So it was a blessing in disguise. So now when someone else says that they failed their test, now I know how to apply the 3 F's, which is I know exactly how you feel. I felt the same way. And here's what I found. I could actually relate to it. And I love what I do. So every time I have a challenge or a business or I'm at my low point, I just feel like, wow, this is to test my leadership. Is there a way out? Not like, oh, this is a sign from God. And so I went back to this person. I said, you know what? It's actually a blessing that you failed. I hope you fail 5 more times. And that way it just makes you stronger. And then when someone fails 5 times, you can say, listen, you're worried about one. I failed it 5 times. Right. And you could, so that's number one, is to know that you have to love what you do. And that's why it's so important that you discover your passion, right? The second thing I think for a lot of people is they lack dreams. You know, I think that most people, their dreams just are simply not big enough, you know, and people say, no, I got big dreams. And I'm like, all right, what's your big dream? You know, and I'll say, what's your dream board look like? And most people don't even have a dream board. So I had a dream board, and it was right there by the front door of my master bedroom. I saw it when I came out. I saw it when I went in. And so I would touch that dream board every day. That was like my thing. Is every day I committed to myself that as I walked through the door of my master bedroom, going in and out, I would touch that. This is what I'm doing. And on there, we put down our dreams, my wife and my Arlene and I, and that's what we were driven by. And nothing was going to stop us. The low point just made us stronger, you know? And I tell people that if your dreams, I say that your dreams should be so big that you got stretch marks on your brain. Okay. I mean, that's how big your dreams need to be. But most people, yeah, exactly. Right. Their dreams are so puny and so small. Oh, my dream is to buy a Ferrari. That's a pretty small, like insignificant dream. You know, I mean, you can go buy a used Ferrari today, a 2000 and what, I don't know, 5, probably pick it up for $65,000. It looks cool. And now suddenly it's that, what's really interesting is that you're trying to prove to the world that you're successful because you drive a Ferrari. You know, it's interesting that billionaires don't drive around, these kinds of cars. You ever seen the guys like Bill Gates or Steve Jobs or Elon Musk and the way they dress? I mean, it's almost like, man, I thought you'd be wearing Ferragamo shoes. You know what I mean? You should be wearing like, custom tailored Italian suits that are imported fabric from Italy. But no, they're wearing jeans. They got holes in them. They got a t-shirt that probably cost them $8. So things don't matter. Things don't, it's funny because for me too, I was there. I was one of those guys, to be honest. I'm not saying that I wasn't one of those guys. I was that guy. And so when I finally was able to afford a car, the first kind of exotic car I bought was an NSX. I don't know if anybody even knows that. So I bought that NSX. And then after that, put it in my garage. People were like, wow, cool. And everybody thought it was cool for about 2 weeks. And after that, the car just sat there in my garage. And so I was like, all right, well, maybe I'll get a Ferrari. Okay, well, let me add a McLaren. Let me add a Lambo. Well, maybe I should get a Rolls. And I'll get a Porsche. And I'll get a Bentley. Next thing I know, I got a Humvee, a bulletproof truck, and I got 16 cars in my inventory. And you know what, you guys, I hardly ever drive them. I literally drive, I think it's a 2008, which is how many years from now? 2008, it's got almost 300,000 miles on it, and that's what I drive on my everyday car. So listen, dreams are huge because you got to have big dreams. And the biggest dreams for me was my family, my kids, my wife, my parents. To take care of my mother and my father and my in-laws today, I can't even tell you how incredibly good that feels, and then to go to your parents. And it was interesting. I had a conversation with my mom yesterday, and she said, it's crazy that your father and I came to this country from Korea with basically $300 in a suitcase that fit all our clothes. And we came to LAX International Airport, and she sent me on Kakao a text message of our apartment that we lived in when we first got here to the U.S. And I still remember it today as a little kid opening up. There were 6 door locks, deadbolts on our door. There were bars on our windows, and that's where we started. And so you talk about a low point, that's motivation to get out of your situation. It's interesting now. Last night, my wife and I, my staff, we were actually sitting here in our kitchen, and we're looking at castles that we want to buy in Spain and in Italy. People don't even think that big, that you can actually go and buy a castle in another country. These medieval 14th, 15th century castles that you could own literally in these other countries. Pretty amazing.
You're planting the seed, right? I love that. It's having that BHAG, that big, hairy, audacious goal, whether it's buying a castle or buying an island, whatever it is, but having the perseverance to get through those tough times in your journey to getting to that end goal, I think is key, because we know the percentage is incredible as to how many businesses fail when they start up. So the recurring theme in this book is getting past that, having the perseverance to get past those rough points, because there is light at the end of the tunnel, and it's a matter of just getting there. And every one of these stories is a recurring theme of that.
Yeah, got to be tenacious. Got to be tenacious.
100%.
I got to tell you a quick story. When I first got in the financial service industry, I told my wife that I would not come home if I didn't have a sale for the day. And that was it. And she said, what? You're not going to come home? I'm like, I don't deserve to come home and have a nice meal because I did not provide for my family. I did not make a sale. So she calls me up one day and she goes, are you coming home? I go, no, I haven't made a sale. She says, it's 11:30 at night. I said, I know, I got to make a sale. And she goes, where are you going to go? I said, I don't know. And so I got in my car and I'm driving. And I'm driving down the street and I saw this sign and it said 24 hours and it was highlighted in red. And so I pulled into the parking lot and guess what it was? It was a hospital. Yeah, it was a hospital. It was like an emergency room hospital, right? And I was like, okay, like who would go into the hospital at midnight, okay, during a weekday? So I pull in, I get up there, and there's no visiting hours. So I pull out my briefcase. It's like a rolling bag because I had all my applications in my computer in there, and so I get in my I literally go up to the security guard, like there's a sign-in area. Guy goes, sir, there's no visiting hours at this time. I said, oh no, I'm not here for visiting hours. And he goes, okay, well, how may I help you? And I said, yeah, I need to go to the maternity OBGYN area. I'm talking to all the nurses and the staff there to talk about their retirement accounts and their 403B plans. And he goes, oh, okay, hold on. Let me get you a guest pass. And my inside voice literally going, holy crap. Like, are you kidding? This guy's giving me a pass. The guy signs me in. I checked my ID. He gives me a pass. And I literally get in the elevator. I go, what floor is that again? He goes, oh, that's the 7th floor. And I get in the 7th floor. I go up to the 7th floor. The elevator's open. I walked right up to the counter. I said, hi. They go, may I help you? And I said, yeah, I'm the guy to handle everybody's 401k plan. 403B plans and their retirement accounts. Where would you like me to get my computer set up so that you guys can all come and see me during your breaks and get you guys all squared away? The lady goes, well, we can take you. Hold on a second. We'll just take you into the break room. And you can just get set up there. And so I go in there. I'm like, are you kidding me? So I go into the break room. I get my computer set up. I'm like literally shaking. Like, I can't believe this is happening. I hope I don't get arrested, right? Because if I find out that I'm like a phony guy, that I wasn't even supposed to belong there, they might have me like booted out. So I get my computer. First nurse comes in and says, okay, I wanted to talk to you about my retirement account. So this is what I have. I'm like, all right. Next thing I know, that year, I became the #1 producer in the entire company in North America. And what's crazy is most people said, you know what? That guy's got to be the luckiest guy ever.
Wow.
Lucky? Are you kidding me? That's how bad I wanted it. Okay. Wow. And so I went in there and I knew I belonged in there. I acted like I belonged there. And then I became the #1 producer. And that's how it all began for me in 1995. Wow. And since then, guess what? And then after I went to all the hospitals, and the next thing I knew, I started going to a Denny's. I don't know if you guys know what Denny's are up in Canada. And I went to a Denny's that was open. Yep. And I literally started going from table to table. Excuse me, you guys don't know me, but I'd like to talk to you guys about your retirement accounts. You guys know something called the Rule of 72? And they're like, no, what is that? And I was like, oh my God, let me give you this little piece of paper. Keep this. If you follow this, you will get to your retirement, your financial goals. And so they said, oh my God, this is great. I actually wanted to talk to somebody about my financial stuff. And I'm like, well, I just got off of work. I was kind of hungry. So I came in and I saw you guys. I'm like, I wonder if those guys over there have their retirement plan squared away. And then I walked over there because if I didn't approach them, who would? No one's going to approach these guys at the Denny's. And again, that year I started hitting the Denny's. Now, again, within 8 months, they had a picture of me at every Denny's in California and said, do not let this guy in. So I was banned from Denny's, you guys. So when my kid's like, Dad, where are we going for breakfast? Let's go to Denny's. I'm like, yeah, let's go to Coco's instead. Yeah. But see, that goes to show you how hungry I was to get my business going. And I think most people just aren't hungry enough, man.
Wow. I thought you were going to say you just bought all the Denny's. You can't well, let me buy you.
Yeah, exactly.
John, you created opportunities and you were lucky enough not to get caught, right?
That's right.
Awesome. Well, John, this has been great. I know you got to hop to another meeting. We appreciate your time and appreciate your contribution to Landed for Success, Untold Stories from Burnout to Victory. If our audience wants to touch base with you, how can they get in touch?
Yeah, well, they could hit me on Instagram. They can hit me on Facebook. They can just DM me and reach out. I'm all over social media. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Sir John Shin.
Congratulations, though, you guys, both of you, again, on your second book, Landed for Success. And congratulations to all the contributors and the stories that are in there. And I'm honored to have written the forward for this second book.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks
for having me, you guys. Good luck all day.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Take care.
And there we go. There you have it. Wow. What a
Incredible.
great series of discussions today. This was amazing. This is like it's 2 hours and 20 minutes. We've been live on the air. This is like a Joe Rogan-esque podcast episode here. We're approaching 3
Except
hours.
it's Jason Hunt.
Yeah, this has been awesome. And I just want to go through some of the comments here. There was a great acronym that Tom Chester dropped in the comments, and it's the best acronym. And do you know what that stands for, Gordon?
BEST. No, what does it stand for? He told me and I forgot.
Belief,
there you go.
Enthusiasm,
Enthusiasm. I got
tenacity. I love it.
I have belief, I have enthusiasm, but I have Tom Chester's skill set and your skill set and Jay's skill set to combine with. Now I just learned tenacity from John. So I don't have it all, but yeah, those are great.
I love it. I love it. It's this has been fun. This has been great. Gordon, I got to be honest with you. I've drank 2 coffees and I have not taken a bathroom break once. I should probably take a break. And but yeah, I mean, thank you all guys for tuning in, checking it out. I'm sure the people that are watching right now have already went over to Amazon and purchased a Kindle version of the book.
Yes.
I can't wait till the paperback launches. I'm a paperback guy, but I'll be picking that up for sure. Incredible stories today, incredible inspiration, and thank everybody.
Grab a Kindle. Jason, I do want to say one thing. I had some people text me and say, what if I don't have a Kindle reader? And I guess the answer is I don't have a Kindle reader either. So I know exactly how you feel. Okay. So grab, you can still order one, like support your author. I just read it on my iPhone. Jason, I want to share a quick 30-second story. And I'm going to let you wrap it up. Part of my story is called Garage Qualify. And it's about a story in 1989 when I first got started in the direct sales network marketing company industry. But you know what's really funny? My buddy Dan Cattle, you interviewed Joey Garcia, right? I mean, there is such a huge success in the industry. My first ever network marketing presentation I went to, I snuck into the back of the room because I didn't want people to know I was there. And guess who was the speaker that evening? Mr. Dan Cattle. We've been friends ever since. He's a giant of the industry. And as we sit here today, he doesn't even know I wrote about that story back in 1989. And I hope you grab a copy, read the story, let me know what you think about it. But talk about somebody said earlier, how things go around in circles. Well, that story I wrote was in 1989, and the man who inspired me to get into that business actually popped in today and actually watched part of our lives.
That's amazing. It's awesome. It's awesome. Well, Gordon, obviously, there is a volume 3 that's upcoming. So if anybody is interested in being a contributor to volume 3 of Landed for Success, reach out to Gordon. Gordon, do we know the title for that yet, or is that still yet?
We're going to go back for the original title, just simply Untold Stories. What we found from the second book, Burnout to Victory, was amazing. There were a lot of individuals who said, I don't really have a burnout, but I do have a story. I do have an untold story, right? Whether it's an immigrant story, how we survived and thrived, became success in our business, or individuals who have success stories, how they were able to turn some of their tragedies or traumas or stuff they were going through into success in business. So we want to go back to volume 3 will be Untold Stories. So if you have a story, Jason, I think we already have like 15 or 20 applicants already. So if somebody's interested, please reach out, as soon as you can. Talk to some of our authors, right? Talk to some of your friends who are authors. The authors from the first book, thank you to our authors in the first book as well, because you guys have helped pave the way for volume 3, 2, and now 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Definitely. And I had a great time creating my chapter in the book. I enjoyed it. And I think everybody I think had their different process in how they generated the content for their chapter.
Now you cheated. I hate to use the word cheat. Like last night in our ball hockey game, Jace, we were winning 6-1. And you know what happened in the second period? We only played 2 periods. We lost 10-6.
Okay.
They scored 9 goals on us, and we said to the other team, you guys cheated. Now they didn't cheat, right? We were just sore losers, and you didn't cheat. But I love the way you wrote your chapter.
You know, I if I were to sit there at a computer and try to type away, it wouldn't be so easy for me to do it. I'd probably sit there, writer's block, with a few words and just never get to it. And I'm sure some other authors might have taken a lot of time because they're just chipping away at it. But I sat there, I grabbed my phone, and I walked around my house and just said my chapter, talked to my phone, recorded my chapter just by saying it. I threw it into a transcription app called Rev, spit it back out to me, and then I just edited that version of the transcript. And I found that easy. I was able to put the chapter together in like an hour. You know, so it was that easy, and it can be that easy for really anybody. I mean, you have to spend time to go and edit it, but that's the way I put my chapter together, and it allowed me an opportunity to just be vulnerable, speaking to, my phone and recorder and telling a story that really meant a lot to me. So, so that's how I did mine. And my chapter 3, fandom from Japanese rock star to chief marketing officer. So, go and check it out. And if you want to get in touch with me, I've got my, my @JHuntOfficial. You can find me on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, everywhere. That's my handle.
Wow. That's amazing.
Awesome. So, Gordon, how about a couple last comments here? And I think we got, here we go. Wow, Gordon. So thank you, Gordon and Jason. No, thank you. Paul Joseph. Thanks for doing this again, gents. Thanks for joining, Paul. Amazing. Thank you, Tom. Great show. Yeah. And lastly, Tom, party time, the potty time with Jason Hunt, 100%.
Party time. Yeah. But share all day, you guys. We're not going to stop until we hit number 1, right?
That's it.
Canada, US, India, all around the world. So, Jason, Thank you. It's been amazing. Lots of fun.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Gordon. Thank you to Jay. Thank you to everybody at Landed for Success. This has been great. And share this with your friends. Watch the playback. We will be in touch with you real soon. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.